sparkle in full bloom again. She stays on powerfully. Back-to-back wins in the US Champion Hurdle. Honeysuckle again. Up here at Church in the light blue jacket is beginning to get up. Marvin's Rocket to get a final of country to win. Marvin's Rocket to win the second division go to Queensbrook behind those. This is all the fighting in the closing stages. Brazil is trying to get through now to Gaelic Warrior. It's going to be very close. Brazil and Gaelic Warrior in place. Vanilla is in third. They're heading up the hill then. It is Stackler now and Patrick Mullins a 5 or 6 length advantage. He has pricked. He's got plenty left and he's run out a ready winner. He's only 3 lengths behind. So Gerhard having to work hard in the closing stages. It's been tiring ground today. So Gerhard and Paul Tynan have won the Valley of him. Dion Domain Hill behind those. They're into the closing stages of the Prime Advisory. It's been punishing soft ground. But what a horse this long press is. He's made most of the running to winning. Good start though in the red cap nearest to us. It's commander of Fleet and Shane Fitzgerald. It is this pair together slogging it out as they race to the line. Bartos now and commander of Fleet Smith. The closing stages and Lorcan is here and wins the Medway Queen Mother Championship with 4 now then. And Lorcan is a ready winner. Trimable, similar in second place. The work is going down a very small challenge on the far side. Tiger Roll is looking in bravely. He knows where the winning post is, but Delta Work is going to spoil his party, and Delta Work comes home strongest. Tiger Roll in front. He's 4 lengths ahead. Andy Dufresne is staying on. He's eroding the deficit, but Global Citizen pluckily holds on to win the Grand Annual from Andy Dufresne. Cover, and it's Pascal Vega and Patrick Mullins, and more significantly Willie Mullins. It's going to be a close Willoughby's champion bumper. Pascal Vega in a round,
and Bob Ollinger is 3 out of 3 over fences and wins the Turners. Bob Ollinger is a mistake by on his feet. It's still on the near side, Bill Green. Over on the far side, Alaphilippe and Third Wind go ahead in front. Alaphilippe is trying to come back. These two as they race up towards the line. Third Wind just in front. Third Wind has won the but he has made every yard of the running. He will be only the second horse to win the Ryanair twice, and it is Allaho who again wins the Ryanair. In fourth, Hazley Park staying on in fifth, but it's 4 in 4 who is out in front, and he's going to defend his championship. He's a brilliant winner, a back-to-back winner.
Of the game's running on as ever, but it's Paul Cody who's striding clear for another win, and Cheltenham for Cody, and Connolly still running on in the white jacket. Love on Bois, kicking a length and a half, 2 lengths clear, and it's catching there of Harry Fries, Johnny Burke for the Noel Feely send across to the right, followed in second by Mr. Coffey. Jadero Varlas is rallying gamely, but it's Chambard, his stable companion, who's going to do enough, and Chambard wins the Highbrook Feedor. They're battling on well in the red and white, but Vauban finds more now and kicks away and up the hill. Vauban wins the JCB Triumph, then Westport and surprise package. Oh, State Man's looked ahead of the handicapper here. He's picked 2 lengths clear. First Street getting chased, but not enough. State Man, too good. The nice guy, Sean O'Keefe, in the colours of Malcolm, Denmark, clearing away. And the nice guy wins the Albert Party. Manila to Trigger and up to Car. It's storming up the hill. 6 to the left clear in the hands of Rachel Blackmore. He won the champion early on Tuesday. The Grand National last year. And now it's the Gold Cup. Up to Car. The third on the outside. We lead up all middleway. From the post at his side. It's very tight. Middleway on the outside. He's got another 100 yards to go. Eddie May now has a grey head in front. Second in the race last year. This year, she wins the Bears. It's 100 yards to go. Banbridge out in front. It's a clean sweep on the Friday for Ireland. Banbridge wins under Mark Madonna with a punch of the air.
I hope that whets the appetite for the Cheltenham Festival of 2023. Looking back to 2022 there with pretty much every single winner that we had. But you're very welcome on our 2023 Cheltenham Preview Night in association with Silks Magazine and picks from the paddock.co.uk. We are, by the way, we have to put this tag in, raising money for muscular dystrophy tonight. You can donate by visiting the Picks from the Paddock Facebook page. And also, if you could give this a share as well, whatever you are watching or listening to it on, that would be absolutely great. You can also ask questions as well. If you want to put a question to any of our panel that I will introduce shortly, then you can do that by leaving a comment in the comment section below. We'll try and get to as many of those as we possibly can. We will also be hearing from Richard Johnson a little bit later on as well. Harry Fry will also join us via video, be giving us their best chances for each day of the Cheltenham Festival and, of course, their best bet for all 4 days. But my name's Luke Elder. I'll be your host for tonight, taking you through the 4 days of action. We have a fantastic panel lined up, including a couple of jockeys. We'll start off with Will Kennedy, who, I must say, Will, you're in a room that just looks like tweed.
It's actually my girlfriend's office, so yeah, it's nothing to do with me. I don't do too much work in here normally, but it seemed like the right place to do this from.
Yeah, with a far more neutral background, Lorcan Murtagh joins us as well. Good evening, Lorcan. You just gone for the white approach.
Yeah, it's just the hall, yeah. So
we've also got Liberty Stone joining us as well, who's assistant trainer to Milton Harris. Liberty, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. I'm actually skiing in the Alps at the minute. That's hence the bookshelf in the background.
Yeah, we're going for different backgrounds at the moment. And Chris Connolly, I'll go for you. You've gone for the dartboard approach.
Yeah, I've been relegated to the kitchen, unfortunately.
That's where the snacks and drinks are. You're fine on that front.
I've got a few of them.
Dawn Leadon-Bolger is also joining us as well. The only, I think, horse-related background there.
Yeah, and actually live from the horse box, Luke, as I usually am, because we have a beautiful big mountain at the background, so it usually interferes and you're usually left with buffer face. So I'm refurbishing a 12 horse box and I do all my podding from here and manifest all the winners for most weekends. So yeah, I'm kind of smug about that. And my background too is a car boot find for 50 cents. So, you know.
First winner of the festival. First winner there. We've also got Sam Martin joining us as well, racing journalist and Silks columnist. Sam, how are you? Oh, that's the first muting of the night, I think.
Gosh, that's embarrassing, isn't it? I do these things all the time. Hello, very great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we will be going over the 4 days in just a few moments time, but that is the show perfectly set up in just a few moments. We will start with day one. Welcome then to day one of the Cheltenham Festival. We will start right at the very top with the Supreme Novices and mainly Facile Vega, who, Will, I'll come to you first and I'll sort of mix this in with Lorcan because Facile Vega, ridden by Paul Townend last time around, obviously we were the same at the festival. Willie Mullins was quite damning of Paul Townend's ride on Facile Vega, Will, that it was a bit public about things that you didn't think he did the right thing.
I suppose it was just there for everybody to see. It wasn't it wasn't something, a mid-race maneuver or anything like that he thought he'd done wrong. Straight away they just looked like they went too hard. I'm with him for the Supreme. I'm going to forgive him that. I think they did go quite hard. I feel like him and High Definition just got into a battle. It happened a few years ago with AP and Dicky actually in a race at Daintree. And they just sort of went hammer and tongs and cut each other's throat a little bit. And it just looked like they did that a little bit at Leopardstown the last day. I think there'll be more pace to this race. I felt like Paul probably thought he had to put the pace into the race at Leopardstown. There'll be more pace in this race and he'll be able to ride more of a race. And I think it will suit him a lot better.
Lorcan, I'll come over to you. Obviously, a lot was made about him going quite a good gallop, Facile Vega, last time around. Did you sort of see things the same way as that, or were you a bit more forgiving?
Yeah, like they obviously went fast, but I think, like Will said, Paul probably had to put the pace into the race, and this definitely looks like there'll be a lot more pace in the race for him to probably ride a race on him. Like it probably taught them a lot the last day, yeah, I think you could kind of forgive him for the last run, and I think he's definitely gonna go and show what he's all about on Tuesday.
Yeah, we could have a good start for the Irish. So we'll go to our Irish correspondent, Dawn. What do you make of Facile Vega and any other Irish runners in the Supreme?
I think they went at a ridiculous speed, Luke. I do understand where Willie was coming from. Willie was tearing his hair out, even though he had a fantastic weekend anyway. But Facile Vega, I call him the horse with the Midas touch. Everything that has finished behind him. And now today at Naas, Corfánacht of the Double Greens and Irish Point. Well, Corfánacht had finished behind him. Irish Point had finished in front of him at DRF. They both won today. Now, we all know the story of the Midas touch. He turned everything to gold and then eventually turned to stone. And I'm going to say he turned to stone himself. DRF, Dublin Racing Festival weekend. Him and High Definition, I'm with Will. They went hammer and tongs. High Definition paid the price. Willie said afterwards Facile Vega was lame the next morning as well. So we forgive and we forget. I know there was nonsense going around that he may have bled. The horse didn't bleed. It's just the way the smoke went out of him so quick, you kind of go, well, maybe he did bleed, but he certainly did not. His 14-length win at Christmas was beautiful. That made you think, here we go. This is definitely your supreme dream. What I've seen is you're either for him or you're completely against him. And I do have a lot of respect for Barry Connell. I listen to what the man is saying. That race, the Royal Bond, that race was fantastic. It set up some really good horses again. Irish Point, again, Ashrow Diamond, and then my beloved champ Kylie. So I wouldn't disregard either what Barry Connell is saying about his horse. And Mikey O'Sullivan is some jockey, and he just gets them to do what they're doing. So to me, between the two of them, it's Facile Vega or it's Marine Nationale, but I am going to stick with what I have said since we start talking about this in October, and I do not understand why he does not get the credit. The same way his mum, Covega, never got the credit. I'm still Facile Vega all day, and Paul will have learned, and we all make mistakes, and that's perfectly fine. And like the two jocks we have on here, we all make mistakes, but we learn from them, and I'm totally and utterly sure Paul is going
never made
to...
a mistake.
I was going to say, I've never seen Will or Lorcan make a mistake personally. I think they're great.
Well, I've made mistakes, and I've been forgiven. So I'm sure if he hacks up, in the Supremes, all will be forgiven. There seems to be this media thing that people love now that, oh, Willie was, shaking the finger at poor Paul and whatever else. But I've every faith that everything will be sealed and tight and right for Facile Vega in the Supremes. But I wouldn't be sad to see Marine Nationale because he is so exciting. And if he was with Gordon or if he was with Willie, and that's taking nothing away from Barry Connell, maybe we would listen more. And Barry Connell has waxed lyrical about this horse since September. So are we being silly to just say, no, we're not going to listen to the trainer? He's not speaking sense, because we all think we know better anyway. But yeah, I'm still going to stick to Facile Vega, and I've no problem if Marine Nationale hacks up the same way he did at Fairyhouse.
Yeah, just to look at the prices at the moment, these are the best odds around currently. Facile Vega is 9-4, Marine Nationale is 4-1, 6-1 Elete Tamuris at 10-1, 12-1 High Definition. That's the horse who obviously went off at a real gallop with Facile Vega last time around. It's 16-1 and bigger the remainder. Chris, I'll come to you next. It very much does look a race to start off the festival for the Irish.
It looks like most of the races at Cheltenham look like that, unfortunately, for British. But I think there's two schools of thought with Facile Vega. You either look at his price as a punter now and think to yourself, I can afford to bet him, which you couldn't do before the Dublin Racing Festival. Personally, I think they went hammer and tongue. They went too quick last time. It was interesting listening to JJ Slevin suggesting otherwise. He didn't feel they were going too quick. But you've got potential. The potential with the lameness put me off. I didn't like to hear that. Fair enough if you'd just blown out. It's one of them situations sometimes where you wish an horse were pulled up, or jockeys what like saying this got rid of rider. You don't really want to see an horse trailing in like that. I don't. From a form point of view, he's definitely the one to beat, and I can't understand the price of Marine National. I think Barry Connell's talked his price down. He's never seen a 4-1 for him. He's got a nice profile and everything else, but Champ Kyle is a better horse over 2.5 mile for me. He was impressive the last day, and I'd be put off by his form.
Say Marine National, currently a 4-1 chance for the Supreme. One of the other Irish runners. Sam, I'll come to you now. If you're trying to back a UK runner, you're basically stuck with Tarmuris, and that's it.
Well, yeah, I think it's been interesting that Ollie Murphy's been talking up his two horses so much of the English, but I'm afraid I'm going with an Irish horse too, and I'm not going with one that's been mentioned other than with the prices, but I love Ilete Tomps, and I think he's so interesting as a horse in general in that his first start for Willie Mullins was in a Grade 1 at the Dublin Racing Festival in a juvenile race last year, and then he ran in 3 Grade 1s, and I didn't think his run in Triumph was too bad, and I think the fact he's had the benefit of that, a hurdle race at the Cheltenham Festival already, will really play into his hands. Obviously, it's on a different course. And then the race at Punchestown was ridiculous. He didn't stand a chance in that, kind of by the way he was ridden. I think you could have expected the first 2 wouldn't have come back to you. But he then went and won his maiden first start of the year. I think he gave Facile Vega, and people are probably going to think I'm delusional, I think he did give Facile Vega a little scare at Christmas. Like I say, I am a bit biased. And then I was absolutely delighted with the Dublin Racing Festival. It was just nice to see everything come together because he can be a bit of a buzzy horse. But he just put in what I thought was a really professional performance. And for me, that's one of the most kind of perplexing races of the year because he did kind of, I didn't necessarily run in snatches. I thought it was quite a very good performance from him, but just the way, I think it was probably overshadowed what a good run it was because obviously what happened with Facile Vega. And for me, I don't think I could back Facile Vega after that, even though he's obviously got such strong form up until that point. But I think 6-1 for Ilete Tomps, also he's already got experience at the Cheltenham Festival in hurdle races. I just really, really hope he wins. Hopefully he can get the week off to a great start. And I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of what type of horse he is in person because it's difficult to get a good grip of that on the TV.
Yeah, Ilete Tom, even when Willie Mullins doesn't win, he still generally wins regardless. Liberty, I'll come to you. Your final view on the Supreme.
Yeah, my view on the Supreme is actually very different to anyone else's so far. I actually really like Dr. Bravo. He ran out of novice company last time in a Grade 3 against some very good horses, and I think he's got a very good each way chance.
Yeah, it's currently a 20-1 chance at Dr. Bravo. Yeah, which I'll be honest, you're the first person I've heard mention that horse.
Really?
Yeah. I've heard Chasing Fire, Strong Leader, literally everything else, but Dr. Bravo gets a mention this time around, 20-1 at the moment. Now, I'm going to go a little bit off script, and we're not going to discuss the article, but it wasn't in the running order because Will Kennedy, I believe you're quite good friends with Aidan Coleman, and I think John Bon is an absolute stone-bonking certainty. He will not get beat in my eyes. So has Aidan told you, Will, that John Bon is a stone-bonking certainty?
Well, he absolutely loves the horse, and I think he's a certainty. Aidan is, he would never utter those words necessarily, but yeah, I mean, he's got a big Tuesday ahead of him with John Bon and Epatante. So yeah, he's looking forward to Tuesday, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I can imagine. We'll loop back round to the article with best bets on day one in a little while's time, because the next race we have to discuss is the Champion Hurdle, where obviously We've lost the 1-2 from last year. They're running in the mares. That'll be Honeysuckle and Epatante. Still, it's a stronger race this time around, though, with Constitution Hill facing off against State Man. Chris, I'll start with yourself. Is it as simple to say that it is just State Man versus Constitution Hill? Is it even that wide open?
Probably not, no. It's definitely between those two. I don't want to over-elaborate on how disappointed I am with the mares going to the mares hurdle, but as a betting heat, it's disappointing. Constitution Hill has shown time. The way he's beaten Epatante like the last twice, I mean, Honeysuckle didn't get anywhere near to doing that. He didn't even come out of second or third gear. I think it's probably a certainty, really, but at 1-3, he ought to be. State Man was impressive enough last time, but I just think he was allowed to do his own thing. I don't think he ever felt any pressure during the race. I was a bit disappointed with a ride from Rachel Blackmore, to be honest, on Honeysuckle that day. And Vauban, I think he really needs a strong pace. I'm not sure he'll get one. It's going to be Constitutional or State Man, and that's it. The rest of them will fight out third.
Yeah, Constitution Hill, very short at the moment in the champion hurdle. Has been odds on for a long time. 4-11 is the best price you're going to get. 134 State Man, 14-1 Vauban. It is 20-1. I like to move it. Zanahiyr at 100-1. It's 150s. The other two, we don't really need to go that far down, to be fair, though. Constitution Hill, 4-11 at the moment. This is a horse, Lorcan, that's being compared to Istabrac already, and for good reason as well. He's looked exceptional. Yeah,
he's been very good. Sure, he's beaten Epatante a total of 29 lengths, I think it is, in 2 runs. He's a very good horse, and I just think I know State Man's a very good horse, but I think for a champion hurdle, I think it is a 1-horse race, to be honest.
It's a case of UK versus Ireland with Constitution Hill and State Man. Dawn, I'll bring you in. Are you going to try and come to State Man's rescue, or is it a Constitution Hill bloodbath?
No. I have waxed lyrical non-stop about my Ginger Ninja. I stand and I nearly get down and kiss his hoofs, and I understand with you guys, you're the same with Con Hill. I spent, as I keep telling people, my Botox money to come Tuesday to see Con Hill, to feel what everybody else feels, and everybody that I speak to just gets this kind of red mist over their eyes when they talk about him, and I want to feel that. But I am going to stick with State Man. I just think he is the double cheeseburger with no gherkins. He does it so easy. And people were complaining after the Morgiana, where I seen him first time this season. And his price was slashed down to 6-1. And they were saying, oh, this is ridiculous. How can you do that? But the more and more he kept progressing, and the better he got. And at Christmas, that was one of the best Mattersons you're ever going to see. And he kind of kicked off Saja's crown, and then he kicked off Honeysuckle's crown at Dublin Racing Festival. And he just did it very easy. And he's not a front-running horse anyway. Willie had said that, and after his win at Dublin Racing Festival, he said he had put in such a good performance for a horse that isn't a front-running horse. And again, he's just, I know everybody says with Con Hill that he's very laid back. State Man's the same. He's just super chill, and he does it. And you'd want the two of them. We're going to have a proper good race now, because the argument keeps going on. Oh, Constitution Hill hasn't bet anything. Oh, State Man, well, what's finished behind him is pretty ordinary this year. I don't know how you can say that either. So the two of them together, eyeballing each other. I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. Vauban, I have a lot of respect for that little chap, and I think they're going to play a very tactical game in this race. You might have him trying to, have a bit of a distraction tactic towards Constitution Hill and maybe pick away at him a little bit and see if there is a chink in his armor. But thank God, I know they're saying it's a small field, but it's so much quality. And the two of them together, State Man and Constitution Hill together, it's just going to be something to really, really savor. But I am taking on Con Hill, and I'm sticking with my Ginger Ninja, State Man.
Ginger Ninja. There we go. Poor State Man. There's always one.
Always one.
Liberty, I'll come to you. Are you Team Constitution Hill or Team State Man?
I'm very much team Constitution Hill. I do think for the first time he's actually going to have a true race. I think in State Man he's there's actually going to be a bit of a fight, but I still think Constitution Hill's got this.
Yeah, I think the majority of the betting public would agree with you. Sam, I'll bring you in here. Constitution Hill for you as well?
Yes, I think I will settle with Constitution Hill, but for me, I think just kind of in general, it's a really interesting race as per the kind of routes that a horse can take to this level. Because you've obviously got Constitution Hill. He danced all the dances as a novice. He had the British Grade 1 winner before the Supreme as well. And obviously romped in the Supreme. We all know about that. And then you've got State Man, who went through the handicap route. And when you look at what he's done so far in Open Company, you kind of think, why didn't Willie Mullins run him in the Supreme? Because, on that, he's better than Dysart Dynamo was. But I think that's the thing with Willie Mullins. He knows exactly what's best for his horses. And I think it was interesting after State Man won at the Dublin Racing Festival, after it was brought up, like, well, we weren't sure about his jumping the last day. He has won a county. And that's why I think it was kind of a bit odd after Christmas when people were saying, well, he did balloon his obstacles. But I think he kind of, like Dawn was saying, he's so chill that he just kind of acts up to the occasion. Like, whatever is required of him, he'll just do. Like, making the running was not really ideal, but the fact that Willie Mullins actually said in the interview afterwards with Sally Ann Grassick that Paul Tannane came out of the weighing room and went, can't say anything to make it, so I'm going to. And Willie said he was like, oh, okay. And I think for, like we've discussed, like the kind of tension that perhaps was being suggested in that working relationship, there's so much trust there, and I think it's just kind of a bit of a fabrication to say that there's any issues. But they're going to be on the same page with State Man, with Vauban in the race as well. So I think it's going to be a fascinating clash, and I really hope it's a case of they do eyeball each other, and it's not like one just absolutely hacks up. Because I think, for me, I'd much rather see that kind of battling dynamic between the two, and I think it's better for racing, really. At least, to have that kind of, you want to look forward to the rematch, don't you? Because there's plenty of other races throughout the rest of the season and then next year, where hopefully these two young horses will keep progressing and keep winning.
Yeah, and Will, I'll let you have the final word on the champion hurdle as far as Constitution Hill and State Man are concerned. Do you see Nicky Henderson's star getting beaten?
No, I don't. No. And I don't think it's going to be tactical necessarily, because I think I like the move. It's going to put the pace into the race. He looks like a horse that potentially wants further in trip, really, but he was ultra impressive at Cheltenham the last day. And he's won since, at Wincanton. But he will very much go forward, and I think that will sort of almost take the tactics out of it. Nico will just follow him away. What Paul does, I don't know, but I think bar mishap, Constitution wins.
Yeah, you have got Not So Sleepy in there as well, who is a bit of a tearaway front runner. One horse you don't have, Chris, I'm looking at you, is Honeysuckle or Epatante. You mentioned I feel like you have a bit of disdain about the mares not turning up. Go on.
It is an absolute shambles. How can you have a defending champion? Honestly, if you want to have the mares hurdle as a grade 1, fair enough, have it somewhere else. This is supposed to be Olympics of our sport, or racing, it's not our sport. I cannot. A few weeks ago, they were saying if she didn't win at the Dublin Racing Festival, she wouldn't be going to Cheltenham at all. I mean, she's probably going to win the mares hurdle, but it's an absolutely shocking decision. How can you not let a champion mare like herself go out on a sword? If she finishes second or third, how do you know she wouldn't win it? She's been there, seen it, done it. It's a shambles. Honestly, it's a shambles of a decision.
Yeah, I understand the frustration. I do. Obviously, Epatante, she's been beaten a couple of times by Constitution Hill this year. Lorcan, I'll bring you in. Thoughts on Honeysuckle not defending her crown?
They've got to do they've got to put her where they think she can win, and the mares. I know it's good for racing if you've got Constitution Hill versus Honeysuckle, but they're doing right by her, and the mares looks like she could win the mares, even though to me the mares is the most competitive race of the festival. But if Honeysuckle turns up like the Honeysuckle did in last year's Champion Hurdle, I think she wins that as well.
I always love putting a punter up against the jockey when you ask about a horse not going for a race. You always get the same lines of shambles, disgrace, and then the jockey always say they've got to put her where they think she's going to win. But Honeysuckle is exactly that. Epatante falls into the same boat as well. We won't dwell too much on Honeysuckle. We will move into best bets on day one. Liberty, I'll come to you first. If you were to give us a best bet for the Tuesday at Cheltenham Festival, where would you look?
My best bet for Tuesday would actually be Nassalam. I think he's a massive prize. He's up in trip. I think he wants to be up in trip. That's my bet of the day.
Nassalam in the plate, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, of Gary Moore's.
Gary Moores.
Sam, I'll come to you. Your best bet of day one?
I am going to go up against Liberty in that. Just looking away from kind of some of the favourites that I'd like today. I'm quite interested in Oscar Elite. The trends say that you kind of want an 8-year-old with 10 stone something. And I think with him, the Reynoldstown was the route that Cork Grambler took last time when he went on to win the race last year. Cork Grambler unseated, but obviously Oscar Elite won. And I think considering the calibre of racing that he's been doing, and obviously without winning, Will and Lorcan will be able to comment on this better than me, but I feel like it could perhaps do his confidence good to have just got him head in front, had a nice jump round, it not been too hard work for him. So for me, it's Oscar Elite.
Yeah, he ran really well in the race 12 months ago, as well did Oscar Elite. Chris, best bet of day one, please.
Ultima, I'm with Liberty all the way. Gary Moore's absolutely flying at the minute, and Nassalam looks like he's been aimed at this race. He ran a really eye-catching race last time. He powered up the hill. I think they step up in triple, so you don't really have to worry about the Irish in this race. I can't remember the last time they won it. But yeah, Nassalam each way for me, I think, is stonking value.
2 votes for Nassalam. Dawn?
Fred Winter, biker, Charles Burns. He
100%.
is an absolute dream of a horse. Le Havre. I went to Cheltenham Trials Day in January. I seen him and I went, you absolute gorgeous thing. How he went off at the price he did that day, he is just fantastic. His last run a couple of weeks ago against Sir Alan, I would disregard that. He made a little bit of a messy one. Philip Burns is back on him, taking 5 off. The day I see now, he's great flat form as well. And I always try go dig back to a little bit of flatty form. He was 5th to New London. He ran up against the likes of Franz Strauss, who's making new waves in Dubai. He is fantastic to me. From the minute I seen him, from the minute Charles brought him out, I said, that's my horse, because I knew, or that's my arse, as Charles likes to say. I had a nasty feeling Newsret wasn't going to go to Cheltenham. So the minute my Newsret came out, I went, nah, biker all the way. Took him at 12-1 that day when I seen him for the Cheltenham trials. And I am sitting very pretty. I am delighted and excited, and I have a lot of faith in biker.
Yeah, biker for the Boodles is currently about 13-2, 7-1. Yeah, 7-1 best price. I have to phrase this word or this sentence differently for jockeys, but Lorcan, your most likely winner that isn't Constitution Hill on day one.
Into Overdrive. He's won 5 out of his last 6, and the last time he beat Sounds Russian, who's 25 for the Gold Cup. He's got a nice weight of 11.6. I think he's got a massive chance. And I'd like to see him go and win as well, because the Hamiltons bred him as well, and Jamie obviously rides him. So I think I'd like to see him go and win.
Yeah, and Will, your best bet for day one?
Well, I think Epatante wins the mares. Like I say, she's been placed behind Constitution Hill a few times. I do think that Honeysuckle, unfortunately, has looked not the mare of old this season. And I think Epatone for me in the mares. And I give Ollie's horse an each way chance in the Supreme. I think I'd probably be shocked to see him come up the hill in front. But Chasing Fire, he's a really nice horse with a big future. And oh god, the old cliche is coming out now. But whatever he does over hurdles, he'll do more over a fence. But I do like him a lot, and I think he could nick a bit of each way in the spring.
Yeah, Ollie Murphy has done that in the past as well. I think he had Itchy Feet and might have been Thomas Darby, second and third in the Supreme a few years ago. We'll do naps and next best for day one. My nap, I think John Bond is an absolute certainty. I don't see him getting beaten whatsoever. I don't think there's anything near to his quality in the field. And I'm not having El Fabiolo at all. And I'm with Dawn with Biker. I think Biker's got all the credentials to go close in the Boodles. Liberty, I'll loop back to you. Your second preference for day one?
My second preference was actually Marie's Rock in the mares.
Yeah, that's how competitive the mares is. We've had 3 mentions already, and all of them are Cheltenham Festival winners in years gone by. Sam, second for you?
Just one that interested me at a bigger price. Samuel Spade for the Ben Paulin team. I think he's going there with such a strong hand this year. I was looking through his entries, and he's got a surprisingly large amount of horses that have real active chances. And obviously he won last year with Global Citizen 2. But for me, I was really taken with the way Samuel Spade won his first race over hurdles at Kempton over Christmas. I think with Bad being in the race, obviously making his debut for the yard with Rachel Blackmore on board, that's kind of where all the attention's been. But I wouldn't be surprised if Samuel Spade could get a place there, because, Luca Morgan's riding very, very well this season too. So even though he looks conventionally like the second string, I don't think you can ignore Samuel Spade.
Yeah,
Luca Morgan, sorry to interrupt, Luca Morgan has actually chose to ride that. He
had the choice to ride Bad.
You could ride Bad?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
I mean, I'm not in there every day, but that's what I've heard.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
There you go.
That is very interesting. That is very interesting. Bad, obviously, is 17-2. Rachel Blackmore's going to be on board Bad. Luca Morgan. Will Kennedy says anyway that he's chosen to ride Samuel Spade of the two. Currently 28-1 is Samuel Spade. Chris, your second preference for day one?
Yeah, I think Tamuris has been totally overlooked in the Supreme. He should love the ground and run on strongly, but it's not going to be him. Before the Dublin Racing Festival, I spoke to a few of the boys and girls in the picks from the Paddock chat and suggested that Honeysuckle was 10-1 for the mares. I feel dirty saying it, but it was so obvious to me that she was going to get beaten by State Man. They were never going to retire her. She was 10-1. I thought it would buy money. If she turns up and she's anything like her best, she will destroy him.
Honeysuckle in the mares. Go on, Will.
100% agree. If she turns up and she's anything like her best, she wins it.
Well, she's going to be half of that at least, because she's going to get there.
But she just hasn't looked the same.
I agree.
She will, don't you worry.
There's something sinister about that being said in a deep Yorkshire accent. I promise you. Dawn, second preference for you?
Honeysuckle all the way. I have to stick with my girl. 16 wins. I don't know what this ad nauseum to the point, and it's no disrespect to the panel about, oh, the mares is this and the mares is that and the mares is the other. There's the old saying of, you put yourself in the best company and your horse in the worst. Well, I'm not saying these mares are the worst. This is probably one of the best races we're going to see all week. But she is too good. She is too good not to win this race. What she's done, we cannot forget. And I make my speeches, my emotional speeches. Please, 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 with every part of me, as fantastic as the mares is, let it be Honey. And I have every faith and love towards Honey. 16 wins, guys. Come on, 16 wins. This should be a cakewalk for her, a Honey walk.
Honeywalk, Honeysuckle going in the mares. Liberty, I'll just dive back to you for a second. That line there, keep yourself in the best company, horses in the worst. Marie's Rock is going for the mares, which generally would be the worst company in a normal year. Not quite this year. She's chosen to come here, or connections have chosen to come here rather than the stayers.
No, exactly. I just think from a trainer's point of view, put your horse where it's going to win. So yeah, I'm totally with her on that.
Yeah, that's a line that's already been said by Lorcan today so far.
He obviously hears it a lot as well.
Lorcan, what's your second best bet of day one?
Well, I'm going to throw another one in from the mare's hurdle. I'm going to say Love Envoy. No,
you're not riding her, so you don't have to say that, all right?
Yeah, I know, but seriously though, she's improved. She's improved from last year. She's a Cheltenham Festival winner, and she's. I think the second day of Sandown, she was very, very good, and the rain that keeps coming, it's only going to help her chances.
There's more chance now with Johnny Burke's old man riding her after he rode a winner today in Ireland than you. So you don't have. I mean, stop. But
he looked good in the saddle for a 67-year-old.
Amazing.
I mean, I'm not gonna. I can't quite say he looks good, but
I said for a 67-year-old.
What an achievement for a 66-year-old man, and Johnny lived with me for 3 years, and he's a great guy. And look, I would love to see Love Envoy win for him because we're really great mates, but she might just come up short. But I hope you're right, Lorcan. I have no feeling for I'm actually, to be fair, Epatante, Aiden, good mates, but I have no real feeling for Honeysuckle or Epatante. But I would love to see Love Envoy, but
Aiden can have the Arkle. Don't get greedy. For what it's worth, I'd be agreeing with Lorcan in that. I'd be betting Love Envoy each way. She's done absolutely nothing wrong at all. But that is day one. We could have talked about that for about 4 hours. Instead, we're going to go for a quick break. We'll be talking about day two in just 1 minute's time. Welcome back to the Cheltenham preview of 2023 with the Silks magazine and picks from the paddock. We will move on to day two. I've been not told, not even asked, forced to start this off this way by asking a question to Dawn. And it's just about Champ Kylie, Dawn, who you've already managed to mention. So go.
It's I've done my love letter in Silks, Luke. This horse, he captured my heart back at Galway Festival last year. I'm nearly like, Ed Sheeran, lost my heart to a Galway girl. Well, I lost my heart to Champ Kylie, and he is dreamy in all possible ways. He's got the ears Sir Henry Cecil would be proud of. He has done everything he possibly could and more. He is named after Kevin Shields, Michael Murray's grandfather, where actually Champ had grown up on his tillage farm. And there's something about him. And the day I seen him at Galway, my heart was broken because my own horse had come down. But I looked over and my head was full of dreams seeing Champ Kylie. And I never shut up about him. I always keep on about him. And the Ballymore for me is an absolute beautiful race for him to be in. What he did back at Naas Lawlers, he was just fantastic. And today again, Irish Point was second to him. Irish Point came back and won today. And I look for every horse that has finished behind him and has gone on and won. But the girl who does him as well, Emily, she just adores him as much as me. And when he won at Naas, the two of us were crying. He's our boy. And I think he is an absolute steal if he's still 8-1 now for the Ballymore. So my champ, Kylie, I love you.
That is Champ Kylie in the Ballymore. That's not even the start of day 2 either. That's just us giving Dawn her little part. Day 2 is going to be live on this year's Cheltenham preview after this. Yeah, we won't start with the Ballymore or Champ Kylie regarding day 2. We're going to start with Jerry Colomb, who is a banker for many. But Chris, I'll start with you. Is he a banker because he's in a race that isn't that strong?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to fall apart, doesn't it? Dan Skelton's horse at the bottom. I know he was speaking her up the other day, and it wouldn't surprise me if is it Galia Dilato? I think she could run a good race, but I think he's an absolute certainty. I hate saying it, but I was so impressed with him last time, despite doing things wrong at Sandown. The way he finished his race off really caught my eye, and I think Cheltenham's absolutely made for this horse. He's ultra progressive, and I think he'll absolutely blow up. I've got to be honest, I see him as an absolute banker myself. I don't like the short stuff, but he's short for a reason, and I think he'll piss up, to be fair.
Yeah, first swear word of the whole show. Well done to Chris. It had to be Chris. We're allowed to swear. We're not being told not to, but 1 penny in the swear jar, please, Chris. Sam, I'll come to you. You mentioned before we came on that you're a bit of a fan of the real whacker, so you're someone who will be taking on Jerry Colomb.
Yes, I will. Obviously, it depends where they choose to send the real whacker, whether he goes to the Gold Cup. I say go for it for the Gold Cup, and then I'd probably end up signing back with Jerry Coulomb because I think he's just a really nice looking chaser. And I think for me, out of the two of them, and this, I adore real whacker, and I will tell you why in a minute. But for me, I think looking towards next year, out of the pair of them, who's more likely to win a Gold Cup next year, for me, it would be Jerry Coulomb. But this year, I think it's the real whacker, either race. I'd really love to see him win. He's another one kind of like Olete Tomps I kind of fell in love with last season because he ran at Doncaster and Harry Skelton rode him. And he was just being a pickle. He would not settle. He had his head all over the place. And he ended up actually running on to finish second, hanging to the left. And he probably would have won if he hadn't hung. And then they were going to send him to Albert Bartlett. And he got an injury quite close after, I think. And then obviously, I tipped him in my 20 to watch, sort of horse to follow for this season, so I'm a little bit smug about that. And he actually ran at Cheltenham in a handicap hurdle on my birthday, and I can't explain to you how excited I was. And he finished completely out of sight, and I was like, right, this might not be as good as I think he is. And then he went and put in, honestly, one of the best novice chase performances I think I've seen. And it was quite interesting to hear Sam Twiston-Davies say the next time was probably one of the best spins he'd had around Cheltenham on a novice as well. And I just think the way, I love a front runner anyway. You'll see that with who I tip in the stayers. And if anybody follows me on Twitter, you know this. But I just think with the real whacker, he's just got so much raw ability and he hasn't had that much racing. And I just think he's such an interesting horse. And I think it's great to actually have connections who are so kind of like ballsy about it and are willing to go and give him the big entries. And they obviously must think the world of him. And I really hope he comes good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. He's currently 4-1, the real whacker, best price for the Brown Advisory. Currently, Jerry Colomb is 6-4, 7-2, Mighty Potter, the real whacker, 4-1. Time Hill at 11-2, 11-2, Sir Gerhard, 7-1, Galia Delito. It has been backed, was about 14s about a week ago for the Dan Skelton team. It's 14-1 and bigger the remainder. Liberty, I'll come to you. Jerry Colomb, bank.
Yeah, he's a banker for me. Obviously unbeaten, 2 Grade 1s. You obviously, he's never run around Cheltenham, but I do think the course was made for him. He's a winner for me all day long.
Yeah, you call a race bad as well, and then you turn it to a jockey. Lorcan's going to bring his line out again. It's a horse where they can win. But to be fair, he is the best of this bunch on what we've seen so far, Lorcan.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's still unbeaten, and it wouldn't be surprised me if this was been the plan for a long time, because he didn't go to Cheltenham last year, and I think he's gonna have a massive chance of winning.
Yeah. And Will, I'll throw it over to you. Jerry Colomb, banker for you, or would you be taking on the favourite?
Oh, look, he's looked class this year. He's looked impeccable with his jumping. I'm with Liberty. This track looks like it'll suit him really well. But I think he's a banker. But I like Tiny Hill. I mean, he will stay really well, and his jumping has been cribbed a little bit. But I'd love to. I'd ride him. I'd take the riding him. You can guarantee he will stay. And I think Jerry Colomb will stay, but there is just that little bit that he hasn't done it over 3 mile over fences. I know he's ran a 3 mile over hurdles, but he hasn't done it over fences yet.
I feel like if you tried to take the Time Hill ride, Tom O'Brien might mention our second swear word on the show. He's
mentioning it plenty now because he's injured. So it's actually Micheál Nolan.
As in me? Oh, right, okay.
Micheál Nolan's in for the ride on Tyne Hill. Poor old Tom O'Brien's off with a broken, dislocated shoulder. But he's got to have a chance. He will stay, and Jerry Colomb has looked very good, but he's just got to prove it up that hill.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He's currently Time Hill an 11-2 chance. Again, Dawn, it's a race that the Irish have got a stranglehold on the market with Jerry Colomb, Mighty Potter, the Real Whacker. It looks to be another one for Team Ireland. Just which one do you pick?
Oh, 100%. Which one do I pick? Well, the DMs have been bursting, and I thought, Jesus, I'm going to have a date for Cheltenham. But no, it's for tips. And what I say to all the DMers is, do you want value? Do you want romance? Or do you want money? And I say, well, for the money, honey, you go for Jerry Colomb. I mean, he was to be aimed at the Arca last year, but he did hit a setback. Skipped DRF, didn't end up going to Cheltenham. Skipped DRF this year, going straight to Cheltenham as a hot favourite. And that run in the City Isles, Jordan Gainsford deserves a lot of applause for that ride too, because he got him up over the last 2 and he rode him, and he deserves to keep the ride on him too. I'm delighted he did. So to me, he's your money horse. Value, and I was so excited about this. This is one of my 5 to follow horses. He's been supplemented for the Browns. It's adamantly chosen. He has been treated to Mighty Potter and to Jerry Colomb's back end, but he's been close. And what I take into account with him is that Brian Hayes said he thought he had it in the bag at Dublin Racing Festival until the Mighty Potter just kind of straight past. And for my romance, the Real Whacker, I think he's such a great story. I think it's only too good for racing should he win. So Jerry Colomb, the money, the value adamantly chosen, and romance, the Real Whacker.
The Real Whacker, currently a 4-1 chance at the moment. We'll move on from the Brown Advisory and Jerry Colomb. We'll move on to the feature race of day 2. That'll be the Champion Chase, where it's a bit more of an open look to things this time around. Edwardstone is 13-8. Energumen is 7-4. 11-2 for Editeur du Gis, 8-1 Gentleman de Me, 10-1 Blue Lord, 20s and bigger the remainder. That includes Nube Negra, Grenadine, good 2-mile chasers. Liberty, I'll come to you first on this one. You already mentioned the Gary Moore runner. Here.
I'm a massive Edwardstone's fan, so I'm with him on this. I think he's had a minor setback, but I think Alan King will have him absolutely spot on for this race. I'm with him. The ground should suit. I'm 100% with him.
He's been called not names, but I think it was Matt Chapman called him boring. How do you feel about him being tagged with that sort of brush?
Definitely not boring.
Yeah, there's not too many boring things about winning Grade 1s, but yeah, fair enough. I mean, Dawn, Energumen is I guess if Edwardstone is boring, he's the exciting profile. Last year, obviously won the race, but things did go pretty wrong last time at Cheltenham.
Pretty wrong, and there was the big question about the bit of white. Was he looking at the bit of white? So I appreciate that, like when I'm riding out myself, some of my horses may see a butterfly in Australia and go, oh, Jesus, what's that? So you wonder, did Energumen, the possessed spirit, as it means, seen the white and went, oh, Jesus, I don't like the look of that. So hopefully he's got his head straight. You can't ignore one of the most historic races between him and Shishkin. He supposedly broke Shishkin's heart. Well, Shishkin's fully mended now, as we've seen. I love Eddie. I absolutely love Edwardstone, and if Matt Chapman thinks that's boring, I don't know what excites him. Arkle winner last year, and it's great for Kaftara. We bemoan Kaftara now because he's a brilliant national hunt sire that's gone. 5 wins on the bounce until he went to Aintree and met Gentleman de Me. We heard today Gentleman de Me is out, so he won't be facing him anyway. And I do think this horse has gone under the radar. I take on board. We were lucky enough to have Niall Houlihan on with us last week, and he said he wouldn't swap Editeur du Gis for the world. And I think, again, he gave an absolutely brilliant ride to that horse. And I think the horse has gone under the radar. I'm obsessed and possessed by Dad's Lad, so I'm going off that form. So, yeah, I'm making a case for the 3 of them. Eddie, he excites me to no end. Energumen, if he puts on his sunglasses and isn't looking at the bit of white, and Editeur du Gis gone under the radar. Are you going to push me for one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Energumen will come back.
Oh my goodness, she's gone for the Irish horse. Currently 7-4.
I did make 3 cases though,
yeah.
So I got 2 backup plans.
Editeur du Gis, of course, in the colours of Side of Grugy. Will Kennedy, white on the fences. Apparently that put off a champion chaser. Is that actually a thing, or is it complete codswallop?
Oh, God, I don't think it's made a lot of difference, really. But saying that it definitely makes a difference to the odd horse, and maybe Energumen was that one horse that made a difference to. But I don't think it's made horses jump better or worse. Personally, this season, I feel like it was something that we were doing to please some other people. Like we've done a lot of our things in racing to please outside people, but that's another story. I'm a huge Edwardstone fan. I think he's one of the bankers in the meeting. Edgar, de Guy, Niall Houlihan, brilliant ride. But I think he was allowed to give the horse that ride that day. I don't think Paul Townend nor Tom Cannon necessarily took him serious. They were looking at each other, wondering what they were doing, let him dictate it. A fantastic ride, but it won't be like that on Wednesday. And I think Energumen, it wasn't just Cheltenham the last day. I don't think he's looked quite the same this season as a whole. And so, yeah, I think Edwardstone has this race in the bag for me.
Mm-hmm. I say it is a big positive for Editor de Gite that Gentleman Demi is not here, because he might now get us off the time on the front end. But Lorcan, I'll loop back to the white on the fences question. Is that nonsense for you as well, or is it a viable excuse?
I don't think it's that viable. No, like, so I remember when the padded hurdles came in, it made it, like Will said, it made a difference to the odd one. I don't think it made that much difference, to be honest.
That's a great example. Yeah, the padded hurdles, when they came in, there was and you know what? Funny enough, with the padded hurdles, when they came in, it tended to be actually older.
Yeah.
That were having a little look, because they were so used to what they'd been seeing for so long. But no, I'm not sure. Well, if it made a difference the first time, it certainly won't make it the second time, I think.
Yeah, you'd like to think he'd learn from many mistakes at Energamine. Lorcan, who would you have for the champion chase?
Edwardstone.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's got all class. He was. I wouldn't say he's. If he jumps, like, his jumping can let him down a little bit. If he jumps well and he's there at the top of the hill, I think he take all the beating.
Yeah, I say currently 13 to 8. He's the one that just about shades the market at the moment. Chris, are you with the boring multiple grade 1 winner?
No, I'm going to go with an Energamine. I can forgive what happened last time. I don't know why it happened, but someone touched on it. The Clarence House of last year, which was run at Ascot, that was one of the best races I've seen in recent times. And even though he was beaten, Energamine, that was probably the perfect performance. He did absolutely everything right, and it was a added distance that did for him with Shishkin. I know there's been a song and dance about breaking each other and the rest of it, but if Energamine comes to back to anything like that, he'll win. The recent rain will be in his favour. I'll talk more about the rain later on. I'll get my swear jar out, so I'm going to need it. But I think Paul Townend will take on Editor de Gite this time. The absence of Gentleman Demi, I think, is positive for him, and I think by halfway, Energamine will be in front, and I can see him doing a number on these. I'd be a little bit concerned about Edwardstone, not just his jumping, but he had everything run to suit last time at Cheltenham. You can say they didn't go quick enough or whatever, or Editor de Gite had the run of the race. But so did Edwardstone. He was held up in stone last. He was held up last the time before and the time before. Everything was run to suit him, and he still couldn't go past. So I'd be a little bit concerned about him. I don't want to call him weak or anything like that in the head or anything like that, or his jumping. I don't want to overcrab him, but I think the question marks for him, and Energamine for me is just clearly the best horse in the race.
And to round off the champion chase, look, Sam?
So I was quite pleased a couple of weeks ago when it looked like we wouldn't be getting any rain. But obviously, we've had snow, we've had rain. So this perhaps won't be the best thing. But if the ground dries up, I wouldn't put you off Nube Negra. And I love this horse. Been to the stables to see him. Met his dad Dink, who stands in Warwickshire on Park Stud, actually at Dan Skelton's yard too. I just think he's going to be underestimated because he runs extremely well fresh. And obviously, Editor de Gite beat him last time, and everyone was a bit like, what's wrong with Nube Negra? But obviously, that's not worked out to be that bad a race now at Kempton at Christmas. I just think, it's a very, very open race. Some people have an issue with the fact Nube Negra is Spanish, raced in Spain for a bit. I don't have an issue with that. But that was just thinking of the podcast. But I just think for me, it's a very open race. Sentimentally, I'd love to see Editor de Gite win, but I don't think he's going to get as easy a lead. And then Edwardstone just seemed to run a little bit in snatches for me. He didn't seem like he was as enthralled by the whole thing as perhaps what we've seen in his novice campaign, but I am completely against the idea that he's boring. I won't go into that because I'll have to use your swear jar when I'd rather not. And then Energamine, well, I kind of agree with what Will said. I don't think he's been quite up to his best this year. Maybe kind of that race with Shishkin, it's just having a bit of a delayed effect with him, like we saw with Shishkin pretty much instantaneously. But it's going to be a very competitive race and a very interesting race.
Absolutely. Yeah, Edward Stone. Currently heading the market, that could flip-flop multiple times before we get to the race and just before as well. We were meant to talk about the cross-country and Delta work. Does anyone desperately want to talk about the cross-country and Delta work? Tiger Roll's not here this year, so we don't need to worry about it. Is anyone desperate to do this?
Well, I'll just make my case for Mr. Tall, Dark and Handsome. He has it. To me, he has it. That's it. Keith Donoghue is to ride him now. I know Davey is on Galvin instead, but Keith knows, the cross country as well as anyone with what he did with Tiger. Let's give Delta the applause that he deserved that he didn't get last year. He deserves it. He's a jack of all hands. He's done everything. He's been to every party. Handsome is as handsome does. Delta work wins the cross country.
I'm going to moan, and I'm going to moan to Chris because I think Chris is going to be the person that will back me up on this. I hate this new obsession with running horses that should be running in a Gold Cup in a cross country. It's happened with Delta work. Galvin's doing it this year as well. Tiger Roll, when he was doing it, it is maddening. The cross country is meant to be a fun, nice little race. It goes back to the roots of national hunt racing. Great, love it. Keep it at the festival, but stop putting really good horses in here, Chris.
Yeah, I sort of agree. I mean, I think with Tiger Roll, he was just a specialist over this type of test. I mean, he was brilliant in the Grand National and everything else. If it had not chucked it down, I would say to you, if Galvin gets around, he will absolutely annihilate these. I cannot understand how he's not favourite. I understand that Delta Work won last year and everything else. Very good horse, and I agree with what was said. I didn't like the fact he didn't get celebrated for that victory last year. He should have been because it was a good performance. But if Galvin takes to this, I mean, he should absolutely tank them. He's by far and away the best horse in the race. And like I said, the rain's a problem, but if he gets away with it, I can see him lapping most of these.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a horse that I bet last year in the Gold Cup. Generally, when your horse runs in the cross country the year after running in the Gold Cup, it didn't really go too well for the year that you bet the horse. And that is Galvin this time around. Talking of bets, we'll move on to day 2 best bets. I'll do this properly this time. I won't mess it up. Liberty, can I have your best and second best bet for day 2, please?
Yeah, so my best bet of day 2 is actually the Champion Bumper, Factophile. I think stays very well. I think the last day they didn't go quick enough for him. They'll go strong. They'll go a good gallop in the Champion Bumper, and the ground will suit him completely.
Was that your? Did you give 2 there, or did I?
No,
blank?
just one. And my second one, Saint Segal. He's probably been aimed at this race all season. Very good each way bet, I think.
Saint Segal. Then the second for Liberty, Sam, for yourself, the 2 for you.
So I'm just going to jump back to the cross-country chase for a little bit, if that's okay. I just think it is fascinating that Henry de Bromhead is going to might well run Gin on Lime as her only entry at the meeting. She's a 7-year-old mare, and you don't typically see a 7-year-old mare in a cross-country chase. Kind of like what you said, it's kind of got a different purpose now, I think, this race. And just on the note of Galvin, I think just the way he's not finished off his races the last twice, it would do him the world of good to have a change, I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if they popped some headgear on him. But I just think with Gin on Lime, she obviously ran in that controversial race where My Drogo fell, and then she also fell but got back up and carried on. She's quite a talented mare, and actually I thought her run last time in quite a valuable handicap was really good. So she's got an entry in the National. She's 66-1 at this point for the National, and I think it's interesting that she's got this entry in the cross country with an eye on Aintree. If she goes, she will probably be my second best bet for the day away from the big races. But I really like Encanto Bruno in the bumper. I was really taken by him in October when I was there, and he's kind of had perhaps a little bit of an unconventional route into the race, running. We haven't seen him since October, and then he'd won a bumper in July as well, and he's a 4-year-old point winner. So he's had a relatively large amount of experience, and I think it was always the plan for him not to run again until the bumper. I think John McConnell's a fabulous trainer. He knows how to pace his horses, and I just think Encanto Bruno is a really nice horse in the bumper that perhaps could slip under the radar with a lot of kind of not hype horses, but you know what I mean with the Mullins and Elliott camps.
Yeah, he's won a slightly bigger price in Canto Bruno, who I'd say has gone under the radar, personally. Chris, 2 from you, please.
Yeah, I think Jerry Colomb is. I probably just butchered his name with my Yorkshire accent, but I can't.
Jerry Colomb.
I cannot see past him.
That's about as Yorkshire as I can possibly get.
But I just can't see past him. I think he'll love Cheltenham. I think everything's set up for him. The race will fall apart. I think he's a good bet. And unfortunately, with the weather, this is going to be repeated probably throughout. But I really fancied Camprond in the Coral Cup, and it's too late for me to back out. I've already bet him. I've bet a couple of others as well for any race. Historique Recons and San Salvador of Joseph O'Brien. I hope both of them don't get in that race, but I'm going to have to stay with Camprond. He's got some really strong form. He was impressive in Ireland last year when he won. It was on good ground. The time before that, he was 4th. I think he was in this race. It rained. It probably destroyed his chance, but he's well handicapped, and if he puts his best foot forward, I'm just hoping he gets away with it on the ground.
A couple for Chris. Dawn, I'll ask for one from you because I'm going to assume that Dad's Lad is one of them.
Dad's Lad is one because like the form just sets up beautifully. You've got your Merlin Giant form in there. The Merlin Giant form goes back to Wrexham, Asperti, which goes back to Champ Kylie, which leads me beautifully into my Ballymore baby, Champ Kylie. So Dad's Lad, Champ Kylie. Easy as you like. I won't waffle.
Dad's Lad and Champ Kylie. For Dawn, Lorcan, for yourself. Second muting of the night.
Sorry.
Try again.
Benson, if he runs in the Coral Cup, because he is in the boys race as well. But since he's gone to Sandy Thompson's, he's been second 3 times and won twice, and he won at Kelso in the Moor Battle there. I thought he did it very well because they went very, very hard, and he did all his best work towards the finish. I think Cheltenham will suit him, and if he goes there, I think he's got a massive chance. And the other one is Final Orders in the Grand Annual. He's 5 from 6 over fences, and I think he's just got a massive chance in that.
15-2 for Final Orders. Before we get to Will's 2, I'll do mine. It's not the hottest day of betting for me of the week, maybe even the fourth of them, but I think Gaelic Warrior is so disrespected in the Ballymore. He was the shadow of Facile Vega when he was potentially lining up in a Supreme. He is coming here to the Ballymore, and now he's in the shadow of Impere Pass, who I'm not really fully signed up to. But if anyone tells you that he jumps right, they're wrong. He did it once last time around. Other than that, he jumped perfectly. Don't listen to any of that nonsense because I'm just not having it at all. When he's surrounded by horses, he is so much better than that. And I'll put up the real whacker as well in the Brown Advisory. But like I say, other than Gaelic Warrior, it's not the strongest of days for me. Will Kennedy, your 2 for Wednesday? Third muting. That'll be. I'm going to say that's like a swear jar thing now.
Yeah. My each way bets my 2 bets for the Wednesday are both each way bets. Thunder Rock for Ollie in the Brown Advisory. I think he's crying out for the step up in trip. He's been seeing out his races really well over 2.5. I think. Like I say, it's an each way bet. He'll need everything to go right to win the race, but I definitely can see him coming up the hill strongly and nicking a place. And Alexia Denuts, who was a very good second in the game spirit the last day, he runs in the Johnny Henderson for Joe Tizard and Brendan Powell, and I think he'd have to have an each way squeak.
Yeah, a couple there from Will for day 2. That is day 2 done. We are halfway through the festival right about now and halfway through our Cheltenham preview of 2023. So what we're going to do, we'll take a quick 5-minute ad break. We'll be back in about exactly 5 minutes to continue with day 3. We'll see you then.
Hi everyone, my name is Rory Paddock. I am the Managing Director and owner of SilksMagazine.com and also the founder of PitchingThePaddock.co.uk. Occasionally, I might tip the odd winner, but there's something you don't know about me. I was born just under 35 years ago on May the 12th, 1988. Severely premature, with a very, very shortened life expectancy. I wasn't expected, according to medical professionals, to live past perhaps a year old. I would need constant care, I would be in a vegetative state, and that's all because I was born with muscular dystrophy. Now, what is muscular dystrophy? Muscular dystrophy is a genetic muscular disorder where your muscles will degenerate over time, some at certain degrees or certain severities, others to a slightly lesser extent. Now, despite doctors' best thoughts, 34, nearly 35 years later, I'm still here, and I'm still able and fortunate to talk to you guys. So, what do I want to talk about? As self-centered as it might sound, I'd like to talk a little bit about myself, despite the fact I feel ridiculously lucky to have exceeded doctors' expectations. There's a lot that I probably hide, that people don't know I struggle with, whether that's mobility, whether that's my breathing, or whether that's other day-to-day things that everyone, including myself, often takes for granted. Now, despite the fact that I am very fortunate to still be with us, there is a cold, hard truth about muscular dystrophy from my own personal experiences. The last 4 or 5 years, my health has slowly started to deplete, to the point whereby I can struggle to breathe on my own. I need to use a ventilator relatively often. My mobility is slowly dwindling, and the pain that causes means that I am also prescribed morphine. Now, day-to-day life will get harder and harder, and my life expectancy is very short. When anyone thinks of muscles, they think six-pack abs, gun shows, and some sort of bodybuilder type physique. However, a lot of people fail to remember that we have muscles internally in our body. Muscles that help our heart pump, muscles that help our blood flow through our body, muscles that help us digest our food, muscles that help our lungs expand and contract. All of those are going to fail me. And the sad fact of the matter is, those muscles are already starting to fail me, with the problems and the struggles that I have to go through on a daily basis. Now, one thing I want to make clear is this video isn't something where you need to get the violins out. I am certainly not saying at any point, woe is me. I thank every single day that I'm here, because I know how lucky I am to even be here talking to you guys. With a severely shortened life expectancy, I have to face head on and to the full extent my own mortality and the fact that I'm not going to be here for very long. When you have a daughter who relies on you, as I'm sure any parent can imagine, that's quite difficult and quite hard, let alone the physical struggles that are thrown my way as well. This is my beautiful and amazing 10-year-old daughter, Neve. Although we never know when it's our time to go, I am pretty certain that the way I go won't be the best. It won't be the most pleasant, it won't be quick, it won't be painless for either me or my loved ones. They are going to see me deteriorate from a relatively healthy man into something that will be a shadow of who I am. I will eventually be bedbound, I will eventually not be able to move, walk, talk. And that is the cold hard fact of muscular dystrophy. And the other cold hard fact is there is absolutely no cure. My main aim and my main hopes in life are to be around long enough to, hopefully, if she chooses, to walk my little girl down the aisle one day. I need to be there to wipe away her tears and be alive and well enough to be the best dad I can. Muscular dystrophy is going to strip me of a lot of that, as it does with thousands upon thousands of people. And that's why I want the amazing people watching this live stream to reach into their pockets and support children who have it far worse than I do with this horrendous condition. Through my love and passion of horse racing, it has brought me in touch with some amazing and wonderful people, and without a lot of them, I don't know where I'd be, and for that I want to say thank you. This community stands up for their own and looks after those people in need. If you can do anything to help, whether it's share this stream, share this video, or even donate to the amazing work that Muscular Dystrophy UK does, it would mean an awful lot to me. Click the link in the description of this live stream if you're watching either on Facebook or YouTube, and see if we can reach our target to raise as much money for an amazing cause. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back. Thank you to Rory for that. Rory is actually the reason that we're all here today. He's the guy that runs Picks from the Paddock, runs a Silks magazine. He's the reason that we've all been drafted in to do this. No one's taken a fee. It's all in name of muscular dystrophy. Even if you can't donate anything now, if you back a winner from any one of our tips, just have a thought, given a pound, couple of pounds, could be more, however much you can possibly afford. But Rory is he's a good dude. He works hard. He loves his horse racing. He's put together this entire evening as well, and he's just a nice guy above everything else. Also, but he wouldn't want us talking about him. He would absolutely hate that. So what we're going to do, we're going to move on to day 3 in just a few moments' time. I wanted to bring Liberty in at this point, though, because as we mentioned at the top of the show, Liberty is the assistant trainer at Milton Harris's yards. How do you prep Liberty for a week that, well, like the one that we've got ahead at the Cheltenham Festival, where things are going to get a bit hectic?
It's obviously on my camera. It's very.
You go skiing.
I'm actually skiing.
Literally, she's in the Alps.
I'm in the Alps, and Cheltenham week's not great, is it? So the yard's just obviously everyone. There's a big buzz around the yard. You know, it's Cheltenham week. It's great in the yard, really. The atmosphere, everything. We've got 2 runners going, I believe. I've not actually heard from the yard, but as when I left, there was 2 going. Mullenbeck. Very nice mare. She ran the other day, finished second in a grade 2. I think she's a massive price at 20 to 1. I'm shocked at the price of her. And then we've also got a script writer in the Triumph. He obviously ran the other day as well. He was very disappointing. Everyone was very shocked at his run the other day. He came back. I actually ride him every day, and he feels incredible. We cannot put a finger on what went wrong that day. So I still think he's got a very good chance in the Triumph.
I like how everything you just said is potential hearsay, because you're literally skiing in the Alps. Not currently, but Liberty is literally in the Alps right now. That's not us making it up either. Can you, Liberty, confirm this?
Not good, is it? I am in the Alps right now.
How did you get clearance to go on holiday the week before Cheltenham?
I know. I did tell Milton a long time ago, and it was with a big group of friends, and I was like, look, I know it's Cheltenham week. And he was like, just go. Just go.
So are you actually away for Cheltenham week?
I am, the whole of Cheltenham, yeah. First time ever.
Disgraceful.
I know, disgraceful. I'm going to have to find a bar that is showing Cheltenham.
Good luck. Good luck with that one. Will Kennedy, you'd never take a week off in Cheltenham week, would you? Oh, he's muted.
Oh, no.
Good start.
I literally have all this week off simply because they can't get a ride at the festival. So yeah, that's it.
God, this show's turned sad, hasn't it? Lorcan, anything worse you want to throw into it?
No.
No, I'll just be trying to injure Johnny Burke so I can get on Love Envoy. Right, let's get on and talk. We've got day 3 to mention. Day 3 will be coming up just after this. That was Rory, by the way, who didn't play that little bit for ages. That's why we're all sat smiling at the camera. That was Rory's fault. So thanks, Rory. You made us all look silly there. Day 3. Let's talk about, at the start, a Willie Won't He? Mighty Potter. We're going to find out tomorrow from when we're talking about this. We're recording this on Sunday night. We'll find out tomorrow where Mighty Potter's going to run. But, Chris, I'll come to you first. Wednesday or Thursday for Mighty Potter?
I hope he runs day 3, to be totally honest. I absolutely love him. And I know that I don't know what happened last year with him at Cheltenham. Things didn't go to plan, obviously. But I just love him. I love the way he dossed with them last time in Ireland. He was hanging out to his right at the end. He just looks like a horse who's got so much more to give. And I know some people have questioned his jumping. I thought he jumped fantastically well the last day. And the way he won, I mean, people talking about bankers, he's got to be high on the list in that regard. I can see me burying my fellow punter here because I just don't see any horse. I don't see anything to give him a serious race here. I think he'll absolutely dot up, and you could probably put a few more lengths on by the time he's finished. He looks a stone cold certainty to me.
If you do think, Chris, that Mighty Potter's going to go for the Turners over the Brown Advisory, right this second, you should probably back whoever you fancy in the Brown Advisory, because you've got Jerry Colomb, the real whacker. Their price will likely contract tomorrow morning if he isn't declared.
This would be I wouldn't want him running against Jerry Colomb, but that would be an absolute disaster for me. But I just think he wins. I can't see anything that beats him. Like I say, I don't want to see him against Jerry Colomb, but if he runs this day, I don't even see what will get him off the bit. I think he'll absolutely hammer him. Yeah.
As say, he's currently 6-5 for the Turners Novices Chase. Dawn, you're going to be shocked to find out that this is an Irish-dominated race in the market. Mighty Potter 6-5, 7-2 Banbridge, 4-1 Appreciated. Sir Gerhard is 7-1. Then we get the English ones. Balco Coastal 11s alongside Stage Star. Then back to the Irish 16-1 and bigger. Which one of the Irish are you going to go for?
Oh, Mighty Potter, God. And he's always like, to me, I don't know why we're even discussing that he might go in the Browns. It's the Turners. I always thought the Turners was the plan. When he won at Fairy House, by God, and we sat through, there was a preview that morning, trying to warm ourselves with a few whiskies and that. And Gordon sat there and he said, Tia Poo and Mighty Potter were going to win. And unless he frog marched you up to the bookies that day, people, I don't understand why they ignored either horses. But Mighty Potter, I speak non-stop about his mum, Matney, because she's the mum of Caldwell Potter, Brighter Days Ahead, French Dynamite, and Indiana Jones. And all of them, we talk about the Midas touch with Facile Vega. She's got the Midas touch in her womb by the look of things. So Mighty Potter is just going to hack up and probably go around again. And for me to say that, because I appreciate it. I absolutely adore him. And I thought he'd go in the Arkle. But then after Dublin Racing Festival, I was a little bit, he'll go somewhere else. But Mighty Potter is talked about as being the Gold Cup horse next year. And I can see why. I can really see why. And I had made my case for Adamantly Chosen. Finished behind him at Dublin Racing Festival. That performance at Dublin Racing Festival as well had to tell you that this is the real deal. So Mighty Potter again, going all Irish and going all in. Red and white for the Turners. Mighty Potter.
I'll forgive you on the Irish side on this one. There's literally no other horses to really talk about, to be fair. So it is an Irish race. Will, I'll bring you in here. Mighty Potter ran at the festival last year in the Supreme Novices. Didn't go too well when he pulled up. Is that something to keep in mind?
Well, firstly, I've unmuted, so that's good.
Gold star for you.
Look, yes, Mighty Potter, it looks the obvious race to run him in. he's worthy favourite for it. I just appreciate it. I just think the step up is really going to play to him. I think he's looked like he's needed it all year.
Oh, my bit, Will.
Pardon?
It's all my bit. I was just about to say all that.
Sorry. Yeah. I read your script earlier. He looked class last year. He hasn't looked disappointing this year. I think he's just looked like he has needed to step up. I think some horses, unfortunately, Honeysuckle, I think she's looked disappointing this year. I think she just hasn't looked the same. But this horse, for me, just looks like he's crying out for a step up. And Mighty Potter, there's talk about like next year's Gold Cup horse. Fine, great, but he's a stayer in the making, and appreciated. This trip is looking like this is the trip that he really wants, and it's going to bring out the best in him. Let me just say one name, Shishkin. It just might be another situation like that.
Yeah, Shishkin. We'll talk about it in a few moments' time, actually. Obviously,
yeah,
he's an price for the Ryanair.
It's just what he's looked like from his one run over 2.5. I think Appreciate might just do that in this race.
Yeah, I'm going to display my psychic abilities right now. And I'm going to say that Lorcan Murtagh for this race quite likes Appreciate It.
Yeah, I do, yeah. For literally all the reasons Will said. He won the Supreme 2 years ago, and he's now 2 years older, and it just looks to me like he's been crying out for a step up in trip. I think the step up, like, he's a monster. Like I've never seen him in the flesh, but on the telly he looks like an absolute monster. And I think the step up in trip is definitely gonna play to his strengths.
Yeah, I was going to say he's a champion bumper winner. Champion bumper winners generally aren't 2 milers, Lorcan, but I would bet good money that he might be the biggest champion bumper winner we've ever had.
Probably. Yeah.
He didn't look like a bumper horse at all.
No, and like that just says it all. Like his raw ability got him through the champion bumper. Like I just think the his step up in trip is gonna be massive for his chance when he's in that race.
Yeah, he's got plenty of size and ability. That's appreciated.
I'm so glad you came to me first for that question.
Look, I'll try and let you get your own back later on. But Will's clearly stolen all your notes anyway, so what's the point? Sam, you've got original thoughts. What are they?
I just wanted to draw your attention to something with Mighty Potter, something that I heard. I can't even take credit for this original thought. I heard David Mullins talking on a preview, and he actually said, like, this was ages ago. This wasn't even a Cheltenham preview, like official one. But he just said about Mighty Potter's jumping, and he's been round at Fairy House. The description is pecked on landing 3 out. And pecked on landing 4 out, and then he did make a mistake at the 6th at Leopardstown last time. So for me, the only slight worry just is he's not really experienced the track going downhill, and if there is kind of that little kind of tendencies to just kind of, I'm going to explain this really badly, but like just kind of peck forward after a fence, that could perhaps be a little bit of a worry. Obviously, kind of at Cheltenham, which is obviously undulating, you do have some fences that are going to be going downhill. For me, that's the only little kind of weakness that he could possibly have. Saying that, I haven't gone for him. I've gone for Banbridge purely because of I was just so taken by his performance when he won at Cheltenham. And I think then the last tries, he's most definitely not disgraced himself. You can really guarantee with him that he's going to really try his hardest. He never really runs a bad race. He has been behind Mighty Potter before. But I think I just really like Banbridge. And I think you can guarantee with him that he's going to perform pretty much at any time, whereas obviously Mighty Potter underperformed at the festival last year. But kind of just looking for a little bit of maybe value with the kind of the short price that Mighty Potter is. I think Banbridge isn't too bad, best odds 7-2.
Banbridge already a festival winner as well, of course, from last year. Liberty, what do the snow gods say about Mighty Potter?
I'm with Mighty Potter, to be honest. I think the only thing that puts you off really is obviously pulling up at Cheltenham last year, but their horses, they have off days. It was probably just a bad day.
I'd say Mighty Potter. He will likely be a very short price for the Turners. He does have the option of going for the Brown Advisory. Likely won't happen. If you do fancy one of the Brown Advisory, i.e. a Jerry Colombo, the real whacker, like myself and Chris said, back that horse now, because there will be a shorter price tomorrow morning, effectively. Jerry Colombo will be real short if they surprisingly go for the Gold Cup with the real whacker as well. Now, Will Kennedy kind of ruined the next part of this show, because it's going to be Shishkin. He's not only stealing Lorcan Murtagh's notes, he's just stealing mine as well. But Shishkin, the step up in Trip Will was quite a good idea, seemingly.
Yeah, look, he always looked as a 2-miler like he did the best. His best running was the back end of the race, and so it was no surprise to see him do it. I'm with him. Don't get me wrong. I couldn't bet against him, but he has to back it up. That is my only thing. He has to back it up.
Is anyone here strongly against Shishkin? He's currently 4-5 for the Ryanair.
No.
Right. Well, we're all for Shishkin. We won't dwell on him too much regarding that. One thing I will say, I'll put this to Lorcan as well. Will says it about Shishkin wanted to go up in Trip. I always felt exactly the same with Altior, but I think Altior kind of got away with it by running against inferior rivals. Chris has got his head in his hands here.
I hate that comparison. Everyone does the comparison with Altior and Shishkin. Altior took a while to find top gear. In my eyes, he was never anything but a 2-miler. Shishkin, on the other hand, his eyeballs bulging. That happened with him when he was a novice hurdler over 2 miles. You saw the same thing in the Clarence House last year. If that had been at 2 miles, an Ergemini would have beat him fairly handy. So, like I said, I just don't like the comparison. Altior definitely has got scope further. I actually bet him as a non-runner each way bet in the Gold Cup, just in case they decided to go that route. I think he's a future Gold Cup horse. I think he'll run in the King George next year. But the Altior comparison, it winds me, does me crazy.
Just going to put Chris's name down on the list. Right.
Envoy Allen, what do we think?
I think he's a potential each way bet. If you're looking for an each way bet, he should love the ground on Allen. I think he's a little bit tripless. He's one of the most overrated horses you'll ever see. But he will. He definitely is.
That's a statement.
In against spoon races, it didn't happen when they were in open company, did it? But he could run a good race, him, I think, at a big price.
Yeah, he could be the fly in the ointment.
I think we should just change this preview night of throw our opinions, not even just about horse racing, to Chris and see what happens. Chris, where do you stand on tofu?
I've never heard of him, pal.
Where does it run? What price is it?
We will push Shishkin about £3.99, but we'll push Shishkin to the side. We'll focus on the Stayers Hurdle, the feature of day 3, where it looks a pretty open affair in the Stayers. Currently betting wise, Blazing Cal is 3-1. Tiupu is 4-1. Flooring Porter, looking to win the race again, is 6-1. 6-1 home by the league. Classical Dream 11-1. 12-1 about Gold Tweet, and at bigger prices the remainder. Sam, I'll start with you. Where on earth do you start with the Stayers Hurdle?
You've probably not come to the best person first, because Flooring Porter. I am probably one of the biggest Flooring Porter fans.
You did mention about front runners.
Yeah, he was the one. I have a massive picture of him over there. I adore the horse. Like, I nearly cried when it seemed like he wouldn't be going to the stayers. I have a lot to thank him for because he has saved me on quite a few, like the last 2 years on anti-post previews when I've napped him for the festival, done pretty badly elsewhere, and then he's gone and won for me. Everyone's like, oh, well done. So I have a lot to thank him for. I think he's a fabulous horse. But then I'm kind of sitting pretty on this race because I've got both him and Blazing Cal in my 20 to watch for the season. So I'll be happy if either of them win. I think the only thing Blazing Cal really proved to us was that he was still alive and he still had some ability last time. I don't think necessarily people it warranted the response that it got in a way. I think it just proved that he was still well, he's still able to jump. So yeah, I think obviously both horses absolutely love Cheltenham. And I think for me, that's why one of the two hopefully will win. But I think the fact that Florian Porter did have that little bit of a setback has made the race just so much better. Because it's kind of allowed for a little bit more debate. Obviously, you've got Home by the Lee as well, who's beaten Florian Porter twice. But I'll be surprised if that's confirmed again with Florian Porter's Cheltenham form. But yeah, it's an interesting race, but I've got to stay with Florian Porter.
Florian Porter currently at a 6-1 chance, looking to win the Stayers Hurdle once again. I'll go over to you, Dawn. Blazing Cal currently is a 3-1 chance at the head of the market, but if you backed Blazing Cal anti-post, you had a little bit of a scare the other day when things came out that he's going to have a vital piece of work to go for the race. Seemingly that went well. He is going to go for the Stayers.
He is, yeah, and it's kind of like now in the age of social media, we put our breakfast on the table and we had to hear that he had a cut. I would have disregarded that, that way, because you go an emotional roller coaster with Charles Burns, but sure, that's why we love him, that way. I've laid Blazing Cal. I've laid him. I really enjoyed him. And it was probably one of the greatest comebacks since Lazarus. But I have been waxing lyrical, and now that the rain has come, and I think it will come in his favour on Thursday, I am Tiapu all day. He may have last year lost his way a little bit, but this year, his run in the Hatton's Grace was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, okay, he knocked Honey's crown off, but you had to take into account how good he was. Now, there was talk about, he's Masked Marvel, he mightn't go on that ground. Nonsense. He even if it had have come up less often, they're saying now, I would have still had the faith in him. His run at Garin, again, he's another horse like State Man, like they say about Constitution Hill, that he just relax. I'm doing it. Relax. It's fine. And I think that goes down to Erica, who does him too. She walks around the parade ring with him and they have full conversations. And it's just gorgeous to see. He's such a happy horse and he just wants to do it. So for me, he was always my winner, and it kind of sealed it at Garin. The interesting horse Gold Tweet, after we seen his win, the same trainer actually trained Tiapu as a 3-year-old. So I've got a bit of interest in there, and that jockey is just so cool. I'm not going to offend anybody's ears with my woeful French in a Dublin accent. Good old Florian Porter. I'm a sucker for a Yates. He's a little bit bonkers, and I'd love him to win for Sam. Home by the Lee, very underestimated. And we've got, just for fun, I think Willie's done this, stuck in a Styrian Phalange. So that's going to be good fun to watch as well. But I'm Tiapu all day, all the way. I've said it from the start. He's my winner of the Stayers. I shall be singing the Rihanna song Stay for him.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Gold Tweet. I must poke fun at myself at this point because his trainer, Gabriel Leanders, I've been told I'm his doppelganger for a long time. It's so much so that when he was interviewed at Cheltenham after Gold Tweet won, I received about 7 texts asking why I was on TV. So that is Gabriel Leanders. Oh, that's not very good. Either way, Google Gabriel Leanders and then laugh at Luke Elder. You'll be fine on that.
Good luck with Gold Tweet.
Yeah, he's going really well at home. He's going really well at home. Monge too, and all that. Lorcan, I'll come to you first.
Gold Tweet. The ride he got in his cleave was brilliant. And they went a good gallop with Dashel Drasher making the running. He's not going to mind the ground getting softer. And he beat the right horse in Paisley Park. I honestly, I think he's got a massive chance. He's obviously got to go and back up that run at Cheltenham, but I genuinely think he's got a massive chance in the Stales.
Currently 12-1. Best prize gold tweet. Will Kennedy, are you going to use your own notes this time or still?
Bloody hell, Lorcan, you just said everything I wanted to say. No, actually, that's not true. This is my second preview, but I was sort of looking through this race for my first one, and I was sort of Theapoo and the ground is concerned, and now the rain has come, and we had some snow last week, and that's melted into the track, and it just looks like it's his race, really. I think everything is just the stars are aligning for him. So I'd have to say I'm a Theapoo fan. When I thought the ground was going to be a little bit drier, I was actually a Classical Dream fan. He traveled so well in the race last year, looked like the winner turning into the straight, and then just possibly just didn't see it out, didn't battle maybe. Funny horse, but he comes here fresh after three and a bit months off. I think this has been the plan to get him fresh and ready for this race. Just a little bit worried that the ground is now going to potentially just go a little bit on the softer side. I'd have been happier if the ground was a bit better for him. So it's probably Theapoo for me and Classical Dream if you can get a bit of each way.
Yeah, he's 12-1 currently. Classical Dream. I think he's just moved out in price literally as we're talking, but. Don't
I tipped him, that's why.
Well.
I mean, everyone's remembered, he's Classical Dream, and they decided not to bet him.
Yeah.
But the Theapoo, I'll give you credit on that one. Just don't bet Classical Dream. Liberty's gone, by the way. I think her time up on top of the mountain had come, so she's gone off skiing. Chris, what do you like in the stayers?
I don't even want to admit what I like in stairs, to be totally honest.
As long as it's not Classical Dream.
No, it's definitely not him. But this is a disaster. I mean, everything at Top Up Market's got question marks. I don't know what Blazing Cal's made of glass, by the looks of it. I'd love to see Florian Porter win. I was delighted he won last year. There's just so many question marks that I've ended up siding with.
Can I guess?
Go on.
Asterion Phalange.
Oh no, I'm not that mad.
Oh.
But you might think I am in a minute. I can completely forgive Paisley Park for getting beaten last time. He travelled way too kindly. If he's not being scrubbed along, it's time to throw his slip in the bin. He needs to be pushed along. He runs on at the end of his races really strongly. He ran a great race in this last year. This was against horses that were 100% and ready to go, and maybe it is a little bit harder with the likes of Blazing Cal in it, but no Marie's Rock will look the each way angle. If she ran it, she was a filthy each way a bit, by the way. She was around 4-5-1, I think, at the time. But I think Paisley Park, I think he's the most trustworthy horse in the race in terms of he'll be running on. There's guaranteed to be a pace in this race, and I can forget that French horse beating it the last day. Like I say, he travelled way too kindly. If he's been scrubbed along.
It's so funny you say he's the most trustworthy horse in the race when actually his whole career has been about how he's not trustworthy at all.
Yeah,
I think he is. I think if you see him travelling too kind, that's always been his problem. When he won the Stayers Hurdle the other year, he did absolutely everything right in the build-up, and I ain't saying he'll win. I don't think he'll win, but I think 3 or 4 of them towards the top of the market, I think they'll bomb. Can't be having the French horse at all, and I'd love to see Florian Porter win it, but what is he, 14-1, Paisley Park? Do for me. I think you can get 4 places. Makes sense to me.
It's a good bet. I agree. I think he'll run his race, and he'll be there. He potentially can't win it, but he will be there at the end. I agree.
If Aidan Coleman could choose to have just one winner at the festival, and it'd be Paisley Park or John Bon, who do you reckon he'd go to, Will?
Well, I can. It'll be John Bon, but Lorcan will know why I'm saying that. But anyway,
I've got Lorcan. Is this allowed to be published or?
I don't actually know. So
it's in the green and gold.
Oh well, yeah. Sorry,
right.
yes, I do. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, fair enough. And also, well, I mean, John Bon wins anyway, so that's whatever. We have been through the stayers. Liberty's gone. No one knows what she was going to say anyway, but she's off on her travels again. That is day 3 done, except for the fact that we have to hold everyone accountable for their 2 best bets of day 3. Sam, I'll go to you first.
So I am liking Mr. Incredible in the Kim Muir, purely because we were stood by the rail watching them all come in after the classic chase, and I don't think I saw a jockey so happy all day as Brian Hayes was as he came in. He was absolutely over the moon, and the horse came second. So he ran on so well, and I think with this horse, there's just been a lot. I get the impression a lot's just had to come together for him. He was obviously brought down the time before when Brian Hayes was riding. He's only had 8 starts, 5 of which were for Henry de Bromhead, 1 was in Point, and then obviously there's been the 2 for Mullins. I just think he really, really ran on very well at Warwick. He's going to absolutely love the trip. So he's got I'm pretty sure he's got a national entry. So whether it's the Kim Muir or the national, I think
I believe the national's the long-term plan.
Both. Yeah. Well, I think judging by the performance at Warwick, you'd be able to fancy him for both races, to be fair. And then another Mullins horse, I Am Maximus, ex Nicky Henderson, similarly unexposed, only had 8 starts. He actually won at Cheltenham in a bumper for Henderson. He's had 3 runs this season, didn't really like cheap pieces in the middle time, but I think perhaps a little bit tentatively handled in the Grade 1 at Leopardstown, maybe. I just think his handicap mark's pretty good for the plate. I've had so much selections for this race. Nobody's actually been entered that I wanted to be entered, so I'm really, really hoping. I Am Maximus has so many entries, and I really hope he ends up going to the plate.
Yeah, that's generally the plate every single year. You're entered in every other race, and then you go somewhere else. Dawn, I'll go to you next. Who do you like for your 2?
I'm going with the pretamps, the handicap king, the man who knows a handicap better than anyone in the world. And I've only started getting kind of all right with handicaps. Good time, Johnny, for Tony Martin. I think he is right thereabouts. He was 3rd in the pretemps qualifier at Christmas. He's been okay. He was 12th to Gaelic Warrior. Gary, that's his nickname, Gaelic Warrior, for any Gaelic Warrior fans. And he was also 3rd to Charles Burns' Run for Oscar. He's 16-1. I think he's your pretumps winner. And for a nice little each way play for the Ryanair, although I think Shishkin absolutely hacks up, I've gone with Fury Road. I thought he ran absolutely brilliant against Gallopin Deschamps in the Irish Gold Cup. He missed Cheltenham last year, but he was 3rd in Albert Bartlett to Monkfish. So I think he is a decent each way play if you want a little bit of money back. So Ryanair, Fury Road, and Good Time, Johnny, for a good time in the pretumps.
Chris, where are you looking on day 3?
Yeah, I quite like to win the per temps, which is the biggest problem for me. I think Mill Green is an outrageous price at 33. He's off his mark. He's not well handicapped or anything like that, but he's been there, seen it, done it. Maxim would be the other one. I just couldn't split them. So I went with Mighty Potter in the Turners, who he just like buying money to my eyes. And Lucia, I absolutely hate these sort of races, but Lucia should do a right number on that field in the Mares Novice Hurdle. I think she'll be another one who'll piss up.
Another one. There we go. I don't think Chris actually realises he's saying it as well. I think it's just the Yorkshire.
Good thing I've my filter on. You should hear my Irish cursing. It's even better.
I'll do my 2. My best bet was going to run in the Mares Novice, but unfortunately Night and Day was caught with a setback, and she won't go, but she'll be interesting whenever she does come out. I'd imagine maybe Punchestown for her. In the Potemps, can't believe I'm doing this, but at an each way price, I think Itchy Feet at 25-1 is huge. Last time around, Itchy Feet was a victim of Harry Skelton kicking on way too soon with Ashdale Bob.
Yeah.
No, Ashtown Lad.
He didn't have to go with him.
Well, yeah, I get that.
There was a massive, I got stuck into this a little bit. I'm working for Ollie, and you don't have to go with him. You think he's going too fast? Don't go with him.
Yeah, all jockeys are idiots anyway, so we all know that.
They make mistakes.
Yeah, they do. But I thought it was incredible that Itchy Feet managed to hang around for that long. So Itchy Feet for me in that, and in the Turners, I'll go for Appreciate It. I think Mighty Potter. I think you can get him. That's my thought anyway. As Chris shakes his head.
So our notes, Lorcan.
Will, I'm hoping that you're going to tell me that Itchy Feet is a good bet in the Potemps. What are your two?
Yeah, well, he's not one of my two actually. I'm appreciating the Turners for me, and I like Envoy Allen each way in the Ryanair. But Itchy Feet, yeah, look, he's been cracking this season. I know he's a Grade 1 winner over fences, but I just don't think he's a natural chaser. Back over hurdles, he's looked more comfortable. Looks to be enjoying his racing more. Ollie has him in a really great place, and I wouldn't put you off in each way bet on him, no.
Yeah, he has run one at the festival in the past. Just the fences generally are a bit too much for him. Lorcan, what are your two?
Appreciate it. For what I said earlier, I think he's been crying out for the step up and trip.
Or what I said earlier, you mean?
What you said earlier, yeah. And thanks for the help in the Potemps. He won. He won obviously the qualifier the last day at Chepstow, and he had to win the way he did to get into the Potemps. It's his second run after wind up. I think he's still got a lot to play with going in with his mark going into the Potemps.
Mm-hmm. They are the selections for day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival. We only have one more day to go. We also have, I don't know if the other guys know about this, but we have got a little bit of a sort of quiz just to test everybody, just to make sure that their minds are sharp enough ahead of the Cheltenham Festival. That will be happening at some point. But for now, we'll go and get ready for day 4. Welcome back to the Cheltenham preview of 2023. Almost everybody made it back in time for that. We had a Dawn and a Chris rush and sit down. Everyone else, good job at being here at the end of the minute. But we've got one more day to come of the Cheltenham Festival. That will be a day 4 Gold Cup Day, as we've got one more jingle to play, which is right now. Rory, are you ready? See, if you want someone to do something right, publicly slag them off. They're absolutely fine. Good work, Rory, on that. We do have Gold Cup Day coming up, so we will start with the Gold Cup. Will. No, Lorcan. I'm not going to give Will the chance to steal that. Lorcan, I come to you. Galopin Des Champs, is it just a question of does he or will he stay?
I think he does stay. Like he looks like a bit of a superstar, to be honest. I think well, Yeah, I think he's a bit of a superstar.
I fully get that. I've heard comparisons between himself and Corto Star, and I'll be honest, I totally get it.
Yeah, because they both had question marks. Like he's still got in my eye, he's still got question marks about his jumping. But he just looked very good the last day, and I think he's a very, 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 very good horse. But I know I said him earlier, but I actually like that Sounds Russian at a bigger price. Like he'll love the step up and trip, he'll love the ground, and he made a bad mistake the last time in the Cotswolds, and I think if he didn't make that, he probably would have beat a Hoy Senior. So I put him at a bigger price.
Sounds Russian potentially at a price for Lorcan. Currently, Sounds Russian is available at 20-1 at the moment. The Galopin des Champs, though, 7-4. Dawn, you'll be shocked to know that Ireland have got the favourite here.
Oh yes, and I can see why. Galloping des Champs, God Almighty! When the John Durkan was rescheduled and my car decided to die, I was crib biting, box walking, and weaving to try and get up and see this horse. And by God, it was worth the €50 taxi ride to Punchestown. He is Mr. Legs 11. He's actually the only horse in the Weatherby's book that's down as black. His dad lives in Sardinia. You know the way I like to give you a little bit of back history about Mr. Legs 11. He is fabulous. 13-length win in the John Durkan. He was incredible with his 8-length win at Dublin Racing Festival. I know people were split, but I was kind of going, how the hell can you be split? He had so much left in the tank, and he will stay. Not a bother to him, he will stay. And a lot of people think, and I kind of agree with them, and I don't like digging out any horse, but they say he kind of ended Bob Ollinger's career by falling, which is a crazy analysis to say. But still, would he have won last year? Well, of course he would have. He went with his nosedive, but we forget about that. We move forward, like with racing, we move forward. So to me, he's absolutely 100% the winner. Conflated, I think, is really decent. That Savills he won at Christmas. A Yates will give you and give you more, as we've seen with Noble Yates. I think he's worth an each way play. Ewick, now the rain has come, I think we look to Ewick for Aintree. And Brave Man's Game, he is to just not solely side with the Irish all the time. I think Brave Man's Game, after his King George performance, you can't ignore him. How could you? And if you haven't been looking at the pictures of him from press day, you'd be blind, bewitched and bothered not to think he's value. But Galloping des Champs all day, stick Brave Man's Game and Conflated behind. Had the ground been better, I would have thrown Ewick in there, but that's my 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's a Galopin des Champs, 7-4 ahead of the market. Chris, I want you to tell us, out of 10, how strong you think this Gold Cup is, sort of class-wise.
It's right up there, you have to say. In recent years, it's a high quality renewal at 8, 9, wherever you want to go. I mean, we're not talking Denman, Cout or Star type of era, but we don't know if Galloping des Champs just as yet. I'd have reservations about Galloping des Champs, to be fair, in the jumping department. And I know they were talking up his win at the Dublin Racing Festival last time, but I reckon I'd have had a chance of keeping up with him. They went so slow. And he should have been strong at the end of his race, to be fair. I think anything would have been strong at the end of that race. But last year, Ruby Walsh told us a tale about him coming up out of Paul Townend's hands without being asked. And that's what did for him at Cheltenham. This year, especially last time as well, I've noticed he started to fiddle at more of his fences, which is, you'd expect a second season type to be doing that. But I think he could get nudged backwards in this race. And I just think it's too short in the betting for my liking. You've got horses that have been there, seen it and done it. I can't have Brave Man's Game, but your horses like Hoyce and the Jumping Wardrobe, I guess he'd have some sort of chance. I just wouldn't want to be taking a short price about Galloping des Champs, so I think he's the best horse in the race. But you've got horses like Manella Indo, been there before, run huge races at Cheltenham, and Applestard. If you can forgive him for what he did at Haydock, he'd be bang there.
Yeah, absolutely. He was probably the most impressive Gold Cup winner I can remember at Plutard last year. Will, I'll come to you because Chris made the point there about Galopin Des Champs. Last year, I was 100% on board thinking that his jumping was an issue. And unfortunately, I was right. He was brilliant for most of the time. But sometimes with these exuberant novices, they can go to Cheltenham and they'll never have made a mistake in their life. They'll make the mistake. They don't know how to get themselves out of trouble. That's kind of what he did. In the long term, it might not be that much of a negative because his jumping's been a lot more measured this year, Galopin Des Champs.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. He actually didn't make a mistake last year.
Well, yeah, okay.
He absolutely winged the fence.
Yeah, he flew the fence and then he forgot how to run after it.
Yeah. It was a massively unfortunate error. Split second, foot got just stupid. If he jumped the fence a yard to his right, the bit of ground he landed on, may have landed on a yard to his right, may have not. Feet might not have got stuck in it. It's all hearsay, but look, he is. Him and Constitution Hill could be the most exciting two horses at the festival this year. I think he is worthy of his price. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The only question for me about the Gold Cup is a Plutard. Like you just said, Luke, uber impressive winner of it last year. Henry's horses just hit a bit of a lull over Christmas, really. He sent a few horses to England. They didn't run well. You forget about his Haydock run and just think back to his impressive win last year's Gold Cup. If he's back to that, he probably wins. But if he's back to close to that, he gives Galopin Des Champs a race.
Yeah, I'd agree. At Plutard, he needs to return to it, and obviously things have gone wrong this year. But Sam, I'll ask for your thoughts now. At Plutard hasn't been the same horse as we saw at Cheltenham last year.
No, he hasn't, and I suppose we don't know the horse. We don't know how much of a hard race he had. I can't quite remember what the reason was for Haydock. I think he had a bit of a bug, didn't he, coming over? It was too bad to be true, really. But the fact we've not seen him since, probably, like Will says, because the Henry de Bromhead horses have been quite quiet. I do think they'll perhaps have a resurgence in a way, probably at this meeting and for the rest of the season. But I can't be having an Plutard personally. I do think it will be a case of Galopin Des Champs winning. I can't have Brave Man's Game either. I mean, he's a lovely horse, but I'm just not too sure. I don't like to go, oh, he's not been around Cheltenham and that kind of thing with his Cheltenham form. But, you know, I do think Galopin Des Champs has a good favourites chance. I think it's great for the sport in general that we've got a Grand National winner who could sit with the horses in the Gold Cup. Noble Yates is only 8. I think it's really exciting because we've not really, I mean, in my experiences really, other than kind of many clouds, how old I am, we haven't really seen a horse kind of go between the two at a really high level. But I think Noble Yates is obviously so exciting. Massive ride for Sean Bowen. I'm going to sound like an idiot, but I tipped up Royal Pagaille just as a little bit of an each way shout, because if the ground comes up comes up soft, he will be staying on at the end. We've seen him. Oh yes, I agree with you.
I don't know.
I'm not the only one, because I haven't heard anyone else say about Royal Pagaille yet, so that's good. I just thought I was being weird.
I think just to interrupt, I think the closer we get to Cheltenham and the more rain that falls, if it does fall, then the more we'll hear about Royal Pagaille. I'll say one thing though: Venetians aren't running great at the moment.
I sat beside Charlie Deutsch in the tea room at Warwick today, just chatting about his rides at the festival. And he really talked me into thinking Royal Pagaille not beaten that far by anything else except for A Plutard in last year's
You forget how well he ran last year.
Yeah,
blinder.
and then he finished the conversation with, "Oh God, I'm talking to myself into thinking I'm going to win the World Cup next year." but
That's good.
But he made some very good points, and so he could run a big race. But I think Royal Pagaille and Noble Yates, like you say, they're horses that will pick up the pieces. Look, if you're in the Gold Cup, most of the horses, like I spoke to Harry Skelton today about Protectorat in it as well, and he said last year's Gold Cup, not necessarily that he rode the horse to pick up place to be placed, but it was in his mind. This year he's been there, he's done that, he's ran well in the race. Now it's about winning the race, and I think there will be plenty of horses with trying to win the Gold Cup in mind, and Royal Pagaille and Noble Yates can pick them off because they will ruin their chance of placing by trying to win it. But I just don't think that Royal Pagaille nor Noble Yates can win the race.
I'm just thinking, like, he was 66-1 and still is actually when I was looking, but I just think, especially if the Rio Waka goes, he's going to go off at a ridiculous clip. Because that's just what he does. He just jumps from fence to fence, and I think we could see him set quite a decent pace there. And I think it will favour something like Royal Pagaille, like Noble Yates, who just seem to love that. And I think it's really good you actually mentioned Protectorat, because I was all over him last year, and I did think at the time they aren't riding him to win, they're riding him to place. I mean, I didn't mind about that, third place. It's all fine with an each way bet. But I do think now, like, he's 8 years old, and Matt Chapman actually asked a question to Dan Skelton on ITV yesterday. And well, yes, he finished third last year was what Dan said. And I was like, yes, go Dan. Of course he stays. I mean, we were at Aintree when he won the Many Clouds under Bridget Andrews. And honestly, it was such hard work. The conditions were biblical. I mean, I'm a Midlands girl. It was my first try of northern weather. Everyone was laughing at me. I was drenched. But he got through the ground brilliantly. And obviously there's the hill to take into consideration at Cheltenham, but he had to battle with Statler to get that position of third last year. And Statler is an out and out stayer, and he will be another horse will be well suited if it turns out to be a stamina test. And I just think, like, Protectorat, it's just a race of so much depth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think with Royal Pagaille, he's either going to go off 66-1 or he'll go off about 8-1.
Yeah.
Because he'll be the plunge horse. No,
he won't be worth it if he goes any shorter than 33 to me. But I think as well, the other thing I forgot to mention was, like, from a kind of looking at Twitter before these meetings point of view, like a couple of years ago, he was the hype horse. Like, everybody was going Royal Pagaille this, Royal Pagaille that. And you now look at him like he's 66-1 and he's not an old horse. And if anything, I think it was quite interesting. I was listening back to an interview with Venetia Williams, and she kind of said, look, at this point, he was kind of a third season novice. And it just seems like another horse who's just kind of taking his time to get into things. And he's obviously won the Peter Marsh, which was traditionally a really good Gold Cup trial. Didn't go this year because it didn't happen. But I think, yeah. And he goes so well fresh. That's the other thing. I'm like Charlie Deutsch now.
I feel like this is the first preview night for 2023 where we've talked about the Gold Cup and we've talked about Royal Pagaille the longest.
I'm coming around to the idea now as well. I'm like, she has a fun. And because the home press is gone now, couldn't Royal Pagaille be like the super sub? I mean, you're getting back each way money. Oh, Sam, I'm doing this as soon as I come off. I'm having a couple of euro. I am.
We'll be starting the plunge now.
Yeah, Irish points money I won today is going straight on him.
Deutsch is going to be shitting himself tomorrow morning when he sees that he's 12-1.
The pressure.
Rory will have to clip this up, ready to post if he runs it well in the Gold
Cup. Just being a classy race. What happened to classy race? We're talking about handicappers winning Gold Cup now.
They used to.
Yeah.
Not now.
And they say we don't know what we're talking about. Hashtag them, didn't it, guys? Right. Two fancies for the Friday. Sam, if you haven't got Royal Pagaille in this now, I'm going to be fuming.
Well, I was told I couldn't go with the Gold Cup for two.
Oh, yeah, you couldn't, to be fair. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, we're not allowed to go in the championship races.
I have another horse I've convinced myself on is Rock My Way. in the Albert Bartlett each way for Stitch Hosey and Nick Schofield. I just saw has got the ride, which is very good. I was really taken by his win over 2 mile 4 here on the new course last time. He's going to absolutely love stepping up to 3 miles. It took him 3 tries to win a point, but I think this race just should be pretty well suited to him. Got the Cheltenham form. Seems like he's got a really lovely attitude. And then I was actually sent a picture of a little Cheltenham promo thing that was in the Daily Mail today, and it's Robbie Dunn with a racing post in his hand instead of a whip on a picture of Milkwood. I was like, oh, haven't heard of him for a while. So I've convinced myself that Milkwood is a good each way shot in the county. He was 3rd in 2021, which was when the picture was from. Obviously taking the mick out of the Jockey Club a little bit. But we won't go into the whip debate. Just leave that one alone. You can read my articles in Silks about that. He has won a Grade 2 handicap hurdle after that, 2nd in the Galway hurdle. So he's kept a good company. Had a bit of time off, didn't really run over the winter, I think, last year. And then I didn't think his run last time in handicap company was bad. He was off 12 stone and he was beating 5 3/4 lengths. And the four, how many, where did he come? The 3 horses in front were all carrying well over a stone less. So I think he ran a pretty good race there, and he's only £1 higher than in the county. And I do think Neil Mulholland is particularly good at placing his horses.
Milkwood, then given a mention at least, and beaten by Robbie Dunn with a racing post, seemingly. Chris, for Friday.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to give 2 dodgy ones here.
The rest of the dodgy that you've given?
So this is going to get worse. But I think 3-card Bragg, he's entered in about 11 races. It's absolutely ridiculous how you can have so many entries at one meeting. But I think if he turns up in the Albert Bartlett, he just to me, he looks like a sleeper. He looks like he's going to be one that is very well backed. I think he's got entries in handicaps and everything else. But I think the Albert Bartlett will be the way I'd go. And I could see him just banging out, making all the running. The other one would be San Salvador. Joseph O'Brien's. He won this race last year, the Martin Pipe with Banbridge, and he was quietly impressive the last day. He's going to prefer a amount in the weights, but I think there's more to come. And Joseph O'Brien, he's so masterful at placing his horses. Like I said, he's won this race before, and he's a very big price. I can't believe price he is. Obviously, he's entered in the Coral Cup and a couple of others amongst it, but if he turns up for the Martin Pipe, he'd be the one for me each way.
A couple then from Chris. Dawn, where are you looking to potentially recover, hopefully add to your funds from day 4?
This will be the recoup day, I'd say. I know I'm fully confident in everything that I say, but with the girls, Lossy out for the Triumph, I just fell for it. Fairy House, she was so good. Christmas, so good. And you look, Gala Marcoux behind her, Newsret, we've seen what he did in the Ardennes. I'll forget about Leopardstown. I'll forgive her with that. I'm not saying Gala Marcoux is not good in her own right. She's really, really good. But Lossy Mouth over Blood Destiny. I know everybody is kind of going the Blood Destiny route now. No, you go back even to her Otai run. And the breeder calls her his life-changing horse. And I think she wins the Triumph Hurdle easily. And I think script writer at an each way play in this race. Forget about what happened the other day. I think he was sunk with weight in the mud. I think he'll come back. I think he's decent at 28. Very, very decent. But Lossy Mouth to win. And then in the county, I was a little bit miffed to see that my good old friend Pied Piper had come out of the champion hurdle. I had him at a whopping 66-1 where everybody told me I was completely and utterly bonkers. But I own that. I am completely and utterly bonkers. So he's in the county at 16-1. And after seeing the way ICO ran the other day, you've got that little bit of form there. You've got his form before Christmas. You've got last year. I don't want to hear about the Triumph Hurdle curse. I don't believe in it. I believe in good horses. So Lossy Mouth, Triumph Hurdle. If you want a bit of each way play for the Triumph, go with script writer. He'll rewrite what happened before. And Pied Piper for the county. I think he's decent at 16-1. And he was bred by the Queen. So wouldn't it be really poignant for him to do something good?
Yeah, if you ask Davy Russell on the Cheltenham preview night, he'll tell you that good horses don't run in the Triumph Hurdle. That was a quote from a few years
Tiger
ago.
Roll. Tiger
I know.
Roll.
Yeah,
What
that
the
was after
hell?
Tiger Roll. That was after Tiger Roll as well. My Triumph Hurdle bet for this season, I spoke to Josh Moore at the start of the week saying, oh, where's Bo Zenith going to run? Is he going to go for the Triumph or is he going to Aintree? And he's running at Stratford tomorrow on Monday. So that went well. He will go to Aintree, apparently. That is on the cards.
Keep yourself in the best company and your horses in the worst.
Exactly.
Let me tell you, the Moors have nailed that. They've absolutely nailed it. But yeah, I imagine it'll be about 1 to 5 tomorrow at Stratford. But I tell you, Lorcan, he's going to look good. What are your two for Friday?
Mine are Lossy Mouth as well. Like she's getting £7 off Blood Destiny. So I think Lossy Mouth for the Triumph, and in the county, if he gets in, Gin Coco for the Boss.
He has literally.
I've only done two.
Yeah, but you've done me. They are mine. They
Oh,
are
yeah?
mine too.
Oh, you read me script, Will. You read me script.
I mean, in fairness, he has taken one
Yeah,
close to his
it's
heart.
1-1 now.
Yeah, it's 1-1. I'll give him Jim Coco. Will, who are you going for?
Yeah, I'm the same. Lossy Mouth, I think you've got to forgive Leopardstown. It was a massive performance to get back in with a winning chance over the last hurdle. I thought at Leopardstown, and Gin Coco, a cracking run behind. I like to move it at Cheltenham the last day. Came there looking like the winner, and I thought they'd gone very hard in front, and I thought Johnny was actually going to win, and then I like to move it. Seen the trip out really, really well.
Do you think if the hurdles were in, Will?
What?
Do you think if the hurdles were in? I think if the hurdles were in, it would have been a lot closer.
Yeah, possibly. But it was a really travel. Gin Coco traveled so well, and looked like the one that was going to pick. I like to move it up, but he just stayed really strongly. But well, why are you 36? So you need a few to come out, but I think you'll get in. Yeah, Gin Coco in the county, I think really great chance.
Yeah. I'm going to cheat because I really fancy one on the Friday, so I'm just going to go for one and just double your stake on it from what you get. Don't waste money on another selection. I was going to say, I think Filey Bay is so well handicapped in the county that what he did in the Betfair was a real eye-catching effort. I thought Nick Schofield was brilliant on outcome risk. You have to go towards the 4 in a Betfair hurdle to win it. You cannot come from the back. And Filey Bay wasn't, to be fair, was in midfield, which is far enough back. But the move that he made as he came out the back straight, and again, when he continued that going into the home straight, I think Filey Bay's only gone up £8 for that, which I say only. They were miles clear of the rest. I know he's 5 to 1 or so. I think Filey Bay is probably the best handicap bet of the week. So Filey Bay twice for me. I know it's a cop out, and I apologise for that. But Filey Bay for me. We have to talk about this. Pressbury Cup. I just want.
Do we?
Well, according to the running order, yes, we do. The line we got is Ireland won 18 of the 28 races last season, and their record is 23. So will the Irish get 20 or more than winners this festival? I'm going to go through, and you're just going to say less or more than 20. So, Will.
Less.
Lorcan.
I'd say less.
Dawn.
More.
Obviously. Chris.
Obviously. More.
Sam.
Less, but not by much. And can I ask a question of the jockeys? Is there do you guys in the weighing room go into Cheltenham kind of knowing you're just going to get beaten? Do you have the same mentality as because you're English, a lot of you just aren't going to do as well? Is that
well, I'm Irish.
Why do you
You're
guys
Irish,
suck?
yeah.
Yeah, but you've hedged
you get the moral high ground.
So
Pardon?
You've hedge jumped. Technically, you belong over there now. So
Whoa, steady now.
What John is saying is that
I
they've
get
disowned you.
quite a lot of that, and I'm not having it. I'm Irish, all right?
come back to us, love. Come back.
I think I'm gone a bit far to come back.
Don't worry, I'm a sucker for the accent as well, so I understand.
No. You just go out and ride your horse to the best of its ability. You can't be going out thinking like that. No, I wouldn't say we think that. We know we're on the back foot from the start necessarily, but no, you really want to beat them.
Yeah, Lorcan, why do you suck?
Yeah, like the horse races at the end of the day, like so. Oh, what? Yeah, but yeah, the horse race at the end of the day, so anything can happen. Just yeah.
How different are festival races to normal races, Lorcan? Are they rougher, or is that just something that is sort of set around Cheltenham to make it seem better?
I haven't had a festival ride yet, so I wouldn't know.
Lorcan. I am stunned by that, to be fair. I apologise for that. I'm shocked by it. Will?
They're quicker. The tempo is quicker. There's I in Silks magazine this week I actually had an article. Let me just put that out there. Where I spoke about having a ride at the festival and you're down to start and your best friend suddenly your enemy. I had a bit of a taste of it at Sandown yesterday in the Imperial Cup where I had the best posse that I mean, I couldn't have had a better posse in the first 3 furlongs in the race, but then suddenly I wasn't able to hold that position because my horse wasn't good enough. And the tempo of the race, you just get horses coming by you, taking your position. And it's not that they're doing anything wrong, but you're not able to be there. You're not good enough to be there. And the festivals like that is as soon as one goes by you, if he wants to cut in front of you, he will cut the nose off you. Yeah.
We need to start a hashtag get Lorcan a Cheltenham Festival ride.
Yes.
Surely you've got something this year, Lorcan.
I hopefully have one in the boys' race on Friday. Yeah.
Who would that be? Would you know yet or?
Mai Tai for Harry Fry.
I mean, that's a great first ride to have. To be fair.
Yeah, he's got a good chance. So, the only thing is he has got top weight. But he's got a very good chance now in the boys' race on the Friday.
And a good lad in his back.
Try.
I'll get some advice from you, old man Will Kennedy. Some advice for Lorcan Murtagh on his first festival ride.
Oh God, no. Have your wits about you at the start. Get out, and get a good position.
I've been told get down to the start early as well.
No.
No.
All right, Brian.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing. That
no.
It's.
I was told that the race starts for some in the parade ring.
All right, Brian. Anyway, we'll leave that. Move on.
Yeah. All right. Let's go and hear from other people that have some sense about them and probably won't mention Royal Pagaille. Richard Johnson and Harry Fry give us their best chances of the festival. Let's see what I have to say now.
My first tip for the Cheltenham Festival on Tuesday is John Bon in the Arkle. I've been really impressed with him. I thought he was fantastic at Sandown. I know everyone crabbed him after Warwick, but I think a real true run race will suit him really well. I think the rain coming as well is definitely all in his favour, and I think his jumping holds him in really good stead. So fingers crossed for John Bon. My tip for Wednesday is Tyne Hill and the Brown Advisory. I think he was really, really good at Kempton on Boxing Day. A true run, fast run race will really suit him. I think his jumping is getting better and better. It's a very big shame that Tom O'Brien's not going to be able to ride him, but Micheál knows him really well. I think Philip has kept him for this race, so he's fresh and well. And for me, he's got a great chance. And I think he's overpriced, and he's probably a very, very good each way bet. But I think he'll nearly win. My tip for Thursday is Lucia in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle of Nicky Henderson's. She was very, very impressive at Exeter last time in a listed race, She never came off the bridle. I think she's getting better as she goes. Her bumper form is very, very strong. And again, I think the rain is a benefit. My tip for the Friday is Embassy Garden in the Outer Bartlett. 3-mile novice hurdle. You really need a horse that stays. This horse is a 7-year-old. He improved last time, stepping up to 3 miles. Willie Mullins, I'm sure, will have had a great week so far already, but this horse looks ideal for this race.
So my 4 tips for the Cheltenham Festival on day 1. Well, I can't choose anyone but Love Envoy, where we hope that we'll get some luck with the weather and some rain before she runs in the Mayor's Hurdle, having obviously won the Mayor's Novice Hurdle last year. So she's in good form, and we're looking forward to her taking a chance in what looks like being a hugely competitive renewal of the race. On the Wednesday, day 2, I think Hermes Allen will be very hard to beat in the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. He won the Challow Hurdle very well, and that form is working out particularly well. On the Thursday, I think if Nikki Henderson decides to run Lucia in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, she's looked by far and away the best mare in the novice division. And yes, just a question whether he takes his chance against the Geldings in the Supreme earlier in the week. But I think if she goes that route for the mares, then she'll be very hard to beat indeed. And then finally on day 4, Statler is my pick in the Gold Cup each way. He's a half-brother to our own Mai Tai. He won the National Hunt Chase at the festival last year. He's going to be doing all his best work late on, and they definitely have to stay to win the Gold Cup. And I think he'll give any backers a real run for their money.
He cut that off, that preview, Harry Fry, just before he said Mai Tai is a certainty and Lorcan Murtagh's going to give an absolute peach. That was just before. Time for questions from you guys now. I've no idea how this is going to work. I think Rory's going to put them up just on the screen. That's my thought anyway. But I believe I knew we had this. This is from Frankie. It says, what do the panel think of the new whip restrictions? Will it affect a lot of rides, especially if the ground comes up really soft? And how do you think the Irish jockeys will adapt to them? I mean, Will, you're not really an Irish jockey anymore, but how do you feel that the whip restrictions will apply to the festival? And all in all, what do you think of them?
Well, I think it's an absolute joke that they brought them in before the festival, a couple of weeks before the festival. I just didn't understand that. Bring them in at the end of the season. Jockeys have got all summer to go through it and get used to it. If you get banned, it's not the end of the world. But now you're bringing Irish jockeys over. It could really take away from the festival, and that is that's my worry. I want the headlines to be about Constitution Hill winning, Galloper de Champ winning, Honeysuckle. I don't fancy her, but hopefully winning. The Bromhead's terrible season. My worry is really that it's going to be overtaken by the whip. Yeah, that's my worry. And as for the whip rules, them I'm not totally against. Really, we've got one less strike. That's absolutely fine. My sort of like annoyance with the rules is that they're not actually new. You've never been allowed to hit a horse. Mm-hmm. It's always been 3 strides and strike. You've never been allowed to have your hand above your head. The problem is they've never policed it. The BHA have not policed their own rules, and now they are policing it. And so for us as jockeys, we're under the same rules that we've always been under, but we're suddenly now being policed, and that is, I think that's their problem more than it is ours. But I do think it's something that we all just going to have to come around to, and you can see that the first week was bad, the second week was better, and the third week was better. And I think everybody is coming around to it. I didn't like the idea of some people saying, "Oh, I've ridden for that way for so many years. I've handed my license if I'm not gonna." Well, no. If you get a 14-day ban as a professional jockey, if you get a 14-day ban for your use of the stick, and that isn't enough of a deterrent to not get another 14-day ban, well, then you're an idiot.
Yeah, that's fair. I totally get you say it about any sportsman as well that would get a ban. I mean, Lorcan, as a young jockey, this is effectively going to be, you'll say it in 5 years' time, it'll be all you know, effectively. Obviously, you've had a few years of we'll say non-whip rules, you know what I mean. How have you found transitioning to them?
So I wouldn't say I was lucky, but so I broke my leg last year, and all this talk about the whip rules coming in for when I came back to ride kind of sort of helped me a little bit, because I just got into because I hadn't been riding for 6 months, I tried to get into the habit of doing it straight away, which I think kind of helped me. But I don't think I agree with the limit. You can't go above the limit, but and I I agree with that. It can't go over the limit, because I think if you go over the limit, there should be, especially it's an advantage maybe to some horses, on maybe somewhat different, not an advantage to other horses, but like I say, it was for adapting it for me was a bit easier because I hadn't been riding for 6 months.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Obviously, we will be finding things out at Cheltenham regarding who can adapt to them. I'll open it up to either of the other three guys here. Any view strongly on the whip rule changes?
Well, I think me and Sam talking and seeing what each other were saying, we're kind of singing off the same hymn sheet when it comes to this, and you're kind of going, well, who are we? Yes, okay, I got the thing of rules are rules and rules are rules, and I get that, and I ride horses. I was basically born in the saddle, and I know that sometimes you need the corrector, the pro cush, or whatever else to help. I see that the jockeys week in, week out are put under enough pressure without doing this to them before Cheltenham, but the rules are here now, and they've kind of had to reside to the fact that this is what's going to happen. Some of the Irish jockeys, yes, they are worried. Some of the trainers have openly said how worried they are about it. One jockey who should be at Cheltenham is missing the whole of Cheltenham. That must be affecting him mentally, and that's where my concern would be as well. How is it affecting some jockeys mentally who maybe not at the very top, who are getting bans and are going to lose a week's wages because really they are self-employed or something, and it was, it's for the youth are being kept away from racing because of the whip. No, that's not what's keeping the youth away. So yes, some of the Irish jockeys will be worried. Some of them won't. The likes of Davy Russell and Jordan Gainsford, who were in America, who actually weren't allowed to use their stick either. So they've had a little bit. And surely more of the Irish jocks have been training themselves because they've had to. But I do think, yes, you're taking into account the welfare of the horse. But I am still very annoyed that you're not taking in the welfare of the jockey when that was a lot and a big concern. I appreciate that the rules are there now, but I hope that there is something put in place for again the jockey's mental health, which was very much at the forefront for a couple of years, and now we're putting that to the back again for the sake of putting a huge plaster over a big gaping wound. And that's my point on it. And I hope a lot of horses, trainers, owners, and the jockeys don't fall foul to this next week, because I think it's absolutely ridiculous to be doing this before Cheltenham.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to know how the panel was made up that came up with the decision, to be quite honest. It was a very random panel. I go on, Sam. I don't believe anyway that many jockeys if any, were consulted. But
So-
it's very much racing that's sort of gone, we've got a problem that no one's talking about. Let's fix that problem that no one cares about.
Yeah. I think, first off, just a point on the first lot of bans, a lot of the riders would have got them anyway. They would have been 1 or 2 over the old rules, which is something I don't think people paid enough attention to. But, you know, I think the BHA is under pressure, right? The Labour Party manifesto has in it to look at the whip rules. There was a thing passed in Parliament, kind of, I don't know how it works, but about the whip in 2020. And you could, in one way, kind of say, look, they have acted kind of preemptively because you're knowing we're going to get a problem further down the line. But I think just the way it's been handled has been really kind of, it just hasn't been right. And I think for me, the way I'm looking at it is I don't think the jockeys were consulted enough. And obviously the guys can tell me whether that was the case, because the backhand rule, nobody liked that. Nobody would have vouched for that, would they? So why was that going to be a thing? That's the thing. And also, we obviously have the whip, the steering group with members of racing in there. They were there to play an active role. They are not there to make the decision. It was them playing an active role, and then the Horse Welfare Board, and then however many other influences in the BHA. The horsemen did not make the decision. And I think the play an active role is the critical thing. And this is what the BHA said themselves. Play an active role is why, for me, I have so many questions about this. And I think, you know, like, I don't think the rules themselves are particularly harsh. They're just being policed differently. And I think, you know, Harry Cobden was quite vocal about the whole hand over head. Brendan Powell said, well, we were told, is it hand over shoulder? Is it arm over shoulder? Like, what is it? And at one point, I just don't think communication's been right. And that's the thing that's kind of detrimentally impacted it. And I suppose there has been a delay, which meant it has been close to Cheltenham. But BHA are under pressure, not just to talk about from actual kind of real things, but the way it's been handled and the embarrassment from authorities, the fact we have a whip is just something that, you know, we need to have more confidence in ourselves. These guys are pros. They know what they're doing. They're horsemen. So I don't see, they need to be treated like professionals. Mm-hmm. You know, you trust your Formula One driver, don't you? You don't trust, and to me, there doesn't seem like there's a level of trust.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, my partner, when we first met, she said to me, isn't horse racing really cruel? I was like, no, right, what do you think is cruel about it? And she said, well, the whip's cruel. So I was like, right, okay, take her to a racing yard. And one of the apprentices at the yard said, can you go get a whip for me? Gets a whip out, brutalizes his leg, like smacks it about 12 times. Doesn't hurt. Hit her across the hands, doesn't hurt. Took 5 seconds, 10 seconds. She's fine. It is okay with racing now. Doesn't necessarily find it as interesting as we might, but she's okay with it on that front. Obviously, it's hard to educate people on the whip because, to be quite honest, most people don't care. But as we sort of find out, Will, in our line of work in this sport, idiots and the uneducated shout loudest.
I disagree with you, by the way.
You disagree? Go on.
No, I'm not a big fan of the whip anyway. I agree with what Will said, actually. Well, most of what he said. And I think he explained it well. Some of these rules that we're talking about now, they've been in place for years. It's an absolute joke that the BHA or the stewards, more to the point, have never decided to enforce these rules. That's the biggest problem. This whole thing about trusting riders with whips, look, I'm not having to go at riders. They're much braver than I am. Obviously, there's more chance of me being the horse than a rider, but it has been proven over. Look over the years, the amount of whip bans. You have repeat offenders. You have people like Harry Cobden sounding off the other day. The above head height thing, I always thought it was above shoulder height, and you see this day after day, striking horses in the incorrect place and so on. You see this day to day, so they can't be trusted with a whip. And I know riders and professionals won't like me saying that. It's an absolute fact, and it's the BHA's fault, along with the stewards, that they've never enforced these rules to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. I remember, I think it was Luke Morris a few years ago. I mean, obviously, he's the one that always comes to mind when, or sparks the conversation. We say about shoulder height. Apparently, it's because he brings it down, but then it starts coming out here, which that's whatever. He went to Dubai, first ride over there, got called in by the stewards. He got warned about it. Over here, got away with it all the time. That was a while ago now. But Will, I'll give you a chance to reply to what Chris just said.
Yeah, no. Yeah, well, he agreed with me that the rules just haven't been policed properly. But yeah, I just think we've got to come round to it. The only worry, I've said this to people from the start of these. We're going on too much about the whip now, but anyway,
Yeah.
I'll try as quick as I can. There will be a winner of every race, whether you can use the whip or not. And for the guy who horse needs a few extra slaps, it will be disappointing from him, his trainer, and the owners that you weren't allowed to do that. But the person who wins the race, that owner, that trainer, that jockey, they'll be happy, and that punter that backed it, he'll be happy. And so there will always be a winner and a loser.
Yeah.
And that's what it unfortunately comes down to. But I just do feel like we're going to lose those really great racing TV. Other channels are available. I don't know if I need to say that, but I'm just going to go in anyway. But they've been showing a lot of Cheltenham replays over the years. And Denman would have lost his Gold Cup, would have been taken away. He hit a 13, but it didn't look bad. It didn't look like he'd knocked the horse about. I rode a horse today in a 3 mile 5 chase that never travelled early in the race, but I sort of knew that he would get the trip, and I worried so much about giving him one early to put him in the race, to keep him in the race, because I thought if I jump 4 out in with a chance, I might need them. And that is the worry. That's the part that's sad for me.
Yeah. We'll move on for this because it's so easy to talk at length about the whip debate and rules and whatnot. We did have one more question in. I don't know who it was from, but I think it's the thing's broken. But apparently Chris is going to have a moan about it anyway. And this is the Cheltenham watering scenario. They watered last year and completely ruined the Wednesday racing. That was a complete joke. But
Harry Fry may say different.
You don't want to listen to anyone from Harry Fry's. Chris, thoughts on the Cheltenham watering?
I understand why they've watered this time to a point. Obviously, they've had issues with the grass coverage and so on, with the freezing weather and everything else. I get that. But like you said, just said there, last year, tipped loads of water down. We were warned about it pissing it down, and it pissed it down. And what happened the day after it pissed it down? Honest. Why do they do it? Why do they persist? If you watch Haydock, any race at Haydock, you can be in the middle of summer with Haydock. My mate had a winner last year there on the flat. Middle of the summer, heavy ground. Threw loads of water down Curtain Line. Absolutely loves it. I mean, surely good ground is safe enough to race on. And if you look as well, we talked about the Presby Cup earlier. The first couple of days last year, before it pissed it down, the UK actually did all right. As soon as it rained. But anyway, the watering, I can't stand it. We do it all the way across the country. They keep talking about welfare. They run the horses during the summer on firm ground up and down the country. It's absolute farce. What they're basically saying is that they want to run their better horses on softer ground.
Yeah.
I can't have that. I would not like to be the clerk of the course. We have had quick ground for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. 10 days ago, it did not look like we were going to get any rain. The forecast said no rain, and then suddenly it's changed. But you cannot put water on 4 days before the festival, knowing with a really great idea what next week's weather is going to be. You then can't chuck a load of water on. That is the type of ground that no trainer ever wants to run their horses on. You've got to drip feed the ground with water to make it more like its actual, instead of it being like completely water ground, more like it's had some rain on it, and safe for the horses. Because false ground is the worst type of ground you want to run a horse on. Therefore, you cannot overwater with 3 days to go to try and make the ground better. It is a horrible job. Look, it now looks like he's absolutely made a proper mistake. But I think 10 days ago it looked like he was doing the right thing.
Rory's just said he wants a weekly podcast with Will and Chris, which doesn't have to be about horse racing.
we can have it. We can play some darts.
As long as you use the dartboard.
That's the only thing I'm good at.
Right. Dawn's battery is running out. That's why I got that one.
So if I disappear, I can't, because I have no electricity in my my horse box, which is going to be my home.
You want to upgrade that horse box because you've got no electricity, and I've seen you put a jacket on, so it's obviously cold as well. So
Can you not see my breath? I was doing an impression of David Yates during December. I was just like 40 coats here. This is dedication to the cause. Like, no one appreciates it.
No, that'll run well at Cheltenham though. Right, we have got a quiz, and I'm going to divide you guys. I've not been told the teams, but I'm going to divide you guys. So I'm going to do jockeys. Or how badly, Dawn, do you want to be part of the quiz?
How badly? No, I can go.
What, shall we take your charity bet?
Can I go as well?
No, Will, you have to stay.
Everybody's going. I have a genuine reason.
Yeah. Dawn, what would your charity bet / best bet of the week be?
Best bet of the week, Delta Work. There's my boy, best cuddles in Ireland, and Dawn Rising for the Albert Bartlett. Again, I'm going with Champ Kiley form. He's 10 sovereigns, half brother, nice bit of flat in there. Joseph obviously thinks a lot of him. He's 16-1. I think he'll be there or thereabouts as well, because his form is lying.
Oh, is that the moment?
He's going.
She's getting up the hill as well as Silvaniaco Conti did.
Oh, don't say that. You can't talk about him.
She looks like they've overwatered. She's going very slow up that hill.
Right. Okay. So yeah, at one stage he was going to go against Cyprius. So that's what I'm going with. That's my theory. A bit of Dawn at Cheltenham. Remember the mare. Delta Work, Dawn Rising, Double D. Who doesn't love that? So that's me. I'm done. Over and out. I'm down to 2%.
Perfect. Thanks. Thank you very much, Dawn. We'll go on. We did have Liberties as well. Liberty went for Factor File in the Champion Bumper and Pied Piper. We've got Lorcan's on screen there. Lorcan, you're with Jerry Colomb and Paisley Park. Just run us through your notes on those again.
Yeah, I think Jerry Colomb is one of the best bets of the week. And Paisley Park, like I didn't mention him earlier, but someone did mention it, that like you can't not like just like he's just solid, like. So yeah, Paisley Park.
Will, your charity bets?
What were my charity bets? There we go. Yeah, Epatont. Epatont in. I Absolute Notions now doesn't run, does it, in the Albert Bartlett?
I don't think so.
No, yeah, so that was my each way for that. But I do really like Epatont. I think she wins the Mayor's Hurdle, yeah.
Sam, I'll move on to you. You're obviously with Lauren Porter.
Obviously, yeah. And to be fair, I did really like Absolute Notions for the Ballymore, so I was gutted he's not got any entries anymore. But yeah, Florian Porter, and then Rock My Way in the Albert Bartlett.
And Chris?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the weather's probably buried me with Camprond, but if he puts his best foot forward and gets away with it, he's got every chance. And 3-card Bragg, I just really like this horse. I think he'll win wherever he turns up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's essentially Albert Bartlett, but he's in so many. I don't know if I get charity bets this year, but if I do, John Bon is one of them, and Filey Bay in the county would be the other. Now, the teams I've just been told are Will and Sam, and
Really
Chris
sorry.
and Lorcan, because Will has to be against Chris. This is the start of the real rivalry.
This is the start of the podcast.
Exactly. But the questions effectively that I'm going to give you 7 horses. I'm going to give you clues for all of them. And the clues will get increasingly easier. First team to tell me who the horse is gets a pat on the back. So, horse number 1, clue number 1, is the race I won at the festival has been won by a Willie Mullins horse 4 out of the last 5 years. By the way, to buzz in, we need team names. Will and Sam, what do you want your team name to be?
Go on, Sam.
Royal Guy then.
Royal Guy. Lorcan and Chris.
I don't think Chris either.
I let Lorcan choose.
No, you can choose.
Oh, we're
Chris.
not going to do Paisley Park. We'll just go with Paisley Park.
Right. So Royal Guy is Sam and Will, and Paisley Park is Lorcan and Chris. Yeah. So clue number 1: the race I won at the festival has been won by Willie Mullins' horse 4 out of the last 5 years.
Is that not most races?
I didn't come up with these clues.
Must be a point deduction, that.
Clue 2: when you know the answer or feel like you know the answer, go in. I won't allow your team to answer twice in a row.
Oh, okay.
Clue 2: the jockey who rode me that day was an amateur. Clue 3: I was ridden by a female jockey. Clue 4: Clue 4: I was a 5-year-old when I won the race.
Oh.
We've got one more clue here.
This is going well.
Clue 5: I didn't have to jump a fence or a hurdle to win my race.
A bumper.
Woman.
So we're looking for a champion bumper winner trained by Willie Mullins that was ridden by a female rider.
Oh, I can't think of his name.
Rory is really enjoying this because he came up with all these clues.
Yeah.
I'll give you another clue. Clue 6: it also won at the Dublin Racing Festival before winning the champion bumper.
That doesn't help if you don't know. If we don't know what a Cheltenham, we don't know what a Dublin.
Paisley Park.
Go on.
It's 1 or 2.
I mean, when you say
Yeah, what you saying.
Paisley Park.
Go on.
Relegate. Is that the one?
Have you got a phone in front of you, Lorcan Murtagh?
Yeah, he does. You
can see that. You can see that.
No, it's
Somebody text him.
It is relegate. I'm going to give a point, but I'm suspicious of you, Lorcan Murtagh.
No.
I wouldn't
Good man. I'm going to say it wrong one, by the way.
What were your 2 that you were down to, Chris?
We've got, is it on Violin and it's wrong trainer, but
Yeah.
But it's the owners that had me.
Yeah. Right. Horse number 2. Please do better on this one, guys.
Right.
Clue number 1: I have won 1 of the 4 championship races. Clue 2: I have won that championship race more than once. Clue 3: I'm trained in Ireland.
Paisley Park.
I'll go Chris on that one.
Flooring Porter.
Oh, correct. Sam, is that what you were going to say?
I was going to say Abin Photo.
I mean, the fact that you wouldn't have got Flooring Porter.
I don't know, isn't it?
Right, guys, you're falling behind.
Fake fan.
Royal Guy is falling
Come on,
behind.
Lorcan, get your phone out.
Horse number 3, clue 1. This is a rubbish clue. I am owned by... Rory's written these. Clue 1: I am owned by JP McManus.
Oh.
Go on, guys. Who is it? Clue 2: I've raced in the same race at the festival for the past 3 years. Clue 3: I placed in the first 3 on all 3 of those occasions.
Right, guy.
Go on.
Everton.
Ah, great shout. Yeah. That is spot on. Clue 4 was Barry Geraghty rode me to success at the 2019 festival. Clue 5 was I'm trained by Nicky Henderson. The answer was Epitons. 2-1. Horse 4. Clue number 1. I am not trained in England or Ireland.
Right for guy.
Go on.
Golden Tweet.
I knew you'd do that. Wrong. Oh, Chris is back in the game.
It was worth to go.
Come on, Lorcan.
Clue 2. I won a chase at the festival. Clue 3. The race I won was won by the same David Pipe trained horse in 2016 and 2017. You're out for the moment.
No. One. You said one.
What's that? I'm gonna. If the other guys want to put a guess in now. 5, 4. Go on, Sam.
Correct, Rambler.
Yes.
Correct. 2-2. The other clues were Clue 4, the race I won's over 3 mile 1. Clue 5, I beat Jericho Rock and Oscar Elite into 2nd and 3rd last year. The answer is Correct Rambler under a brilliant Derek Fox ride last year as well. Horse number 5, we've got 3 more to go. We are tied at 2 apiece, so there really is all to play for in this trophyless contest. Horse 5, I'm trained by Willie Mullins, but not owned by Rich Ritchie. I am set to run at this year's festival. Oh, this is an easy one.
It's one about 80.
I missed the festival last year. I was bought by JP McManus at the end of 2019. And Clue 5, the festival race I won in 2020 had a total of 24 runners and was over a distance less than 2.5 miles. So it's a Willie Mullins horse owned by JP McManus who has won a festival race over less than 2.5 miles and is running at the festival this year.
Right for guy. Oh, no.
Will was struggling to remember his team name then.
I'm going to get this wrong. I'm going to look really stupid now if it's not Andy. No, he ran last year. No.
The table's back open again.
I can't think
I haven't got a clue.
No, me neither.
I was aimed at the champion hurdle last year, but didn't make it.
No.
All right, I'm entered in the Arkle this year.
Jumbo.
No. Willie Mullins, JP McManus, has already won at the festival, is entered in the Arkle. Lorcan, please get on your phone.
Still owned by JP McManus.
Is it
Still owned by JP McManus.
Is it definitely running in this year's Arkle?
Last time I checked, it was.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, stand right.
There we go.
Oh.
Guys, that was embarrassing.
That was too
Oh, yeah, that was embarrassing.
Right, belated 3-2. Even though I'm pretty sure
That
Will
should be
got his phone out for that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to take the point, to be honest.
Horse.
Yeah, we'll have it. Yeah, we'll have it.
Horse 6. I'm a French import who resides in Ireland.
About a million then.
Yeah, not many of them ones. I won 3 of my 4 races in 2022 and had the same horse finish second every time I won. Clue 3. In my only race in 2023, I finished 3rd in a 5-runner contest. I'm currently double-figure odds for my festival entry this year.
Christ.
I'm sporting the pink and green silks of Rich Ritchie. And won at the festival last year.
Right.
French horse.
Go on.
Oh no, sorry.
French
No,
horse.
Sarja. No.
Can't be. He never won last year, did he?
French horse, won at the festival.
What's his name?
Beat the same horse in all 3 of his wins last year. So same horse is back in second, and is Rich Ritchie.
Oh,
is
I can't think of these right
double
colours.
figures. He won a race last year that only bad horses win, according to Davy Russell.
Fuck. Oh, shit. We got the first F word of the night. Well done, Lorcan.
It's not Vauban, is it?
Oh, I was going to say that.
Yeah, it was full.
Yes. I was going for Gaelic Warrior first, and then I was like, oh no, I got beat by that much. And I can't remember. Yay.
Oh, well, that's...
Sorry, Lorcan.
Sorry.
I want that clipped up from what Lorcan's just done, and every time one of us tweets a loser, I want that tweeted out. Answer 7, even though this competition is over now. Clue number 1. I have won every race at the festival that I have finished. I went off odds on at last year's meeting. The last time I didn't compete at graded level was in November 2020.
It's my horse, Royal Guy. Envoy Allen. No.
Nope. I am trained in England. That would have been a giveaway. Clue 5. I will likely go off the odds-on favourite at this year's festival.
Oh.
I'll open it up to anybody because no one cares anymore.
Just get on with
there
it.
we go. It was just there we go. That was hard.
Terrible.
That went well.
I would also like it to be known again. I did not do those clues.
Yeah. Well done, Rory.
My quizzes are far
He
more
has that.
They're probably good clues for anybody who knew what they were talking about, to be honest.
Yeah. We've been rambling on for the last 3 hours, but really none of us have a clue.
Yeah. Didn't even know there was a meeting at Cheltenham next week. Right, that's us done, guys. That's been great fun. You can catch Will and Chris's weekly podcast. That will be dropped next Friday after the Martin Pipe. They will be talking about Brexit and the Gary Lineker saga.
After the silver trophy of faking them.
But guys, thank you very much, all for a very good cause this evening. A reminder, we are helping to support muscular dystrophy this evening. I believe there'll be links posted everywhere by Rory. If you do back a winner from any of our selections, please do think about giving a small part of that to charities that support muscular dystrophy. But to Will, thank you very much. Best of luck over the next few days, whatever you may well have.
Thank you.
Lorcan, I hope the next time we speak, I'm saying Lorcan Murtagh, Cheltenham Festival winning rider.
Here.
Thank you.
And Chris, stay, Chris.
Best of luck, everyone.
And Sam, thank you very much as
Thank you for
well.
having me.
And our thanks to Dawn and Liberty as well, albeit they dropped off some way throughout. But that is our Cheltenham preview of 2023 done. We are currently about 1.5 days away from the Cheltenham Festival. Have a very good week, everybody. Hopefully your week is filled with plenty of winners. If not, just enjoy it all the same. Until next year, we'll see you then. Have a very good week. Stay safe. Look after one another. Goodbye.